Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.
Welcome to Drop Your Buffs podcast, where we recap the strategy, the social game, and the stupidity of each Survivor episode. Today, you should know that I am not joined by Dion. I am joined by my friend Katelyn. And that being said, I got to tell you guys up front that Survivor Season 40 coverage from Drop Your Buffs is going to be a little bit up in the air right now. Dion and I both have some really fun stuff going on in our lives. We've got new adventures and stuff going on that our availability is going to be kind of crazy, like such as the week of the premiere. Like Dion and I are both like not available to cover the premiere. So we've been talking about whether our podcast will continue in season 40. And I just wanted to tell you up front that if you don't hear from us again, just know good things are happening and that we're enjoying Survivor wherever we're at, and we hope you will too. Okay, that being said, I am joined today by a very special guest, a Drop Your Buffs fan from day one. So that's awesome. And she is actually here with me now in Dayton.
In person.
In person. This is so weird because we're like in the same room. We have one mic going. It's pretty fun. We don't know if we need to look at each other, look at the screen. It's fine.
Just rolling with it.
I have my friend Katelyn here.
Hi.
Woo! So, you might have heard me name drop Katelyn on several occasions throughout the podcast. I'm like, my friend Katelyn. So, before we get started, I thought it'd be kind of fun if we shared how we met here in Dayton, because we both lived in Dayton. We were both huge Survivor fans, and we just like randomly like met a few months ago.
Right, and weirdly enough, I've been in Dayton for about almost 3 years now, and we've not crossed paths. Although I think that our actual connection hasn't been like how we met. That wouldn't have been possible for at least the last year and a half or so.
Like, I've been into Survivor like hardcore for 5 years.
Right.
We could have been like talking Survivor
So
for the
much.
past 3 years.
Right, because I also just got back into Survivor about 3 years ago.
Oh
when
my gosh.
when I moved to Dayton. So
We were just like meant to be friends. So, okay, so I hosted a Survivor premiere party for season 39. I just went like balls to the wall Survivor party. I planned a bunch of challenges. My friends dressed up as survivors. Like, I had a friend who was Boston Rob. I had 2 friends that were Rupert and Laura. And then I was Natalie Cole, the queen. Can I have your jacket? Can I have your
it's a
jacket?
very niche market that you can put these costumes on, so when you do it, you gotta go big.
You just go for it. And one of the little kids had a plaid shirt on, and I gave him a little ding, a little bell, and I called him Rob Sesternino. And so I posted a ton of photos and videos of the party on my Instagram. And if anybody who's listening wants to go see those photos, go to my Instagram, Hannah Gillia. Go to my highlight.
Gilia.
That's right. Go to my highlights and click the little icon that looks like Survivor, and just click a couple times and you'll see pictures from the party. And after the party, I got a lot of people messaging me like, oh my gosh, that looks so fun. And I got a message from Katelyn's sister, and Katelyn's sister was like, my sister is a huge Survivor fan. You guys should connect. So what is your side of the story? Like,
So
my
side of the story is I also like watched the premiere the week of, blah, 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 was on Instagram, because we were always, there's everybody live Instagramming, tweeting, whatever, during the premiere and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I actually follow Emma Carsey on Instagram, because I've met her before. So another friend,
mutual
friend of the two of us. And so I had seen, I think, clips of your premiere party, because her whole family was there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Her
so-
husband was Boston Rob.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then, like within the same period of time, my sister had mentioned, I know this person, I want to get you guys connected because she was, like, throwing a Survivor premiere party and they were doing challenges and things. And I was like, yes, please. And what did we connect on? On Instagram first. I ended up following you and, like, all your stories within moments.
Within, like, 5 minutes, we were, like, following each other, and we, like, messaged, like, hey, I heard we should be friends.
Yes. And it happened pretty quick from there. We ended up exchanging phone numbers and started texting during episodes. I think we ended up meeting. We had, what did we have?
Pizza.
We went and had pizza.
And just, like, talked about Survivor.
For, like, 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was just straight up. And, like, one of my dreams was to find a fellow Rob Has a Podcast fan.
Which I am.
In Dayton.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet they're out there. They've got to be out there.
They're out
How
there.
do I find them? And then it happened.
It was the same for me when I was always like, I want to run into another flight attendant that's like Survivor. Granted, there is a flight attendant at my company who was on Survivor, which I think we've talked about a little bit.
Which one?
Papa Bear works for my airline, which I don't know if I should say this out in the public, which airline I work for, but I'll just tell you he's a flight attendant. We work at the same company. I have never flown with him.
One day, Papa Bear.
But yeah, I ran into a flight attendant one time. We were flying up in the front of the plane together, and I usually try to build rapport with the other flight attendants if I've never met them before. What are you into? What are your interests outside of flying? And she was like, well, this is kind of weird, but I'm a huge, like, Big Brother Survivor fan. I don't know if you've heard of, like, Rob Has a Podcast. And I was like, girl, sit down. We're going to have a good flight.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
So, yeah, it's, like, the same thing where you finally find someone who's, like, akin to and understands this weird
niche
world that we belong to.
This fandom. So, Katelyn and I had this great idea. This is more Katelyn's idea because of a Survivor. I'm going to call it pregame. I call it Survivor 40 pregame, where Katelyn made this insane, amazing spreadsheet.
Girl loves a good spreadsheet.
That has multiple tabs, multiple rows, multiple columns about all of the connections and past history of the Survivor 40 winners. So I said to Katelyn, I was like, we could literally do a podcast talking about all of the things you've cataloged on the spreadsheet. So that's where the idea started, and we rolled with it.
It was like I had messaged you, and I was like, here'd be a really good idea for you guys to do for your podcast before season 40. And then literally 2 minutes, she was like, oh, that's a really good idea. 2 minutes later, she was like, do you want to do it with us? And so that's where the birth of the spreadsheet then came for. And then Hannah was like, oh my God, this is going to be perfect. A perfect way to kind of
Pregame.
form the conversation around the pregame is through this insane spreadsheet that I built, which, I'm sure that there are other Survivor fans out there that have built much more extensive and in-depth spreadsheets than this one. I am very proud of it, though.
It's color-coded. It's beautiful. So I'm going to put a link. I've asked Katelyn's permission. I'm going to put a link to the spreadsheet.
Please don't judge.
In the show notes, so that you can see the spreadsheet. You can follow along. You could use it for whatever you need. Just don't copy it and say it's your own.
Right.
Give Katelyn the credit.
Right.
I told her.
Share it with whoever, just as long as you don't drag me through the mud for if I've made mistakes.
I told her we should put it on Reddit. I feel like the Redditors would love it.
Yeah.
So I hope that happens.
Sure.
But before we get started, Katelyn, you're on Drop Your Buffs, and what we do on Drop Your Buffs is we have rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire questions, let's have them.
Woo! I get to do in-person rapid fire questions. Woo-hoo. So, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
For a Final Four fire challenge.
All right.
Here we go. Katelyn, do you call yourself a casual fan, a normal fan, or a super fan of Survivor?
Well, considering the spreadsheet that I made, I would have to call myself a super fan.
Yeah, if you just take one look at the spreadsheet, Okay. All right. So thinking of Survivor season 40, we've had 40 seasons of the show. What is your favorite season of Survivor?
Oh man, I don't know that I could pick just one
come on.
just one season. I could probably give you like a 3 that
You know what? Something that the listeners would like to know is that, like, Katelyn binged all the seasons. When you got back into Survivor 3 years ago, you watched through all of them.
Right. And
you've gone back and you've watched through...
most everything a second time. So
yeah.
So, like, we've had this kind of conversation about how I got into Survivor before. I'm not a day one person. I don't remember Survivor in its early days. I did start watching Survivor when I was in high school, and I remember watching Palau into Guatemala, and I remember watching Cook Island, so I must have watched Exile Island in there too. I have vague memories of early Terry Dietz and things like that, but I have more memories about Yule because Yule has a little place in my heart, which we will obviously get to in today's conversation. But and then I went to college and kind of got away from Survivor and everything. And then about 3 years ago, it's something that I'd been thinking about a long time. I was like, I want to go back and watch Survivor, but I'm like the weird kind of person where I have to watch everything in order. If I'm going to start something, I need to start it from the beginning and watch it all the way through. And so, funny enough...
Many people are like that.
Funny enough, at the time, we... most of, like, the first 28 seasons... were on Hulu. And so I just hit play on Borneo's episode 1 and in April of 2017, and I caught up with all, at the time, 35 seasons right before I finished, literally like 2 or 3 weeks before the Ghost Island premiere. I was all the way caught up. So this was less than a year.
Wow.
And since then, I have been dragging my mother down into the Survivor pit with me.
You're not dragging someone down into the Survivor pit. You're like pulling them up. Come up and join us.
Join me. And so
sounds like drugs.
I remember. So the summer following. Well, towards the end of my first watch through, my mom had kind of started to pick up and watch some stuff. I remember she watched a little bit of like Game Changers with me, a little bit of Co-Wrong here and there. I know she watched some of Worlds Apart with me here and there. She's a big fan of Sarah Lucina. My mom loves Sarah Lucina. We're in the middle of rewatching Cagayan right now. She's like, oh man, I love Sarah Lucina. It was just so funny because she just got voted out in like the episode that we were watching this week. And so she watched Ghost Island live with me, and then I was like, Mom, I want you to like understand more about Survivor. And so over the summer, I started my rewatch of my binge watch.
And joined and brought her up into the heaven of Survivor to watch it with you.
I started because I had really, really wanted to rewatch All Stars for whatever reason.
Oh, it's because it's so good.
Right. So we started with All Stars, and then she was intrigued by Boston Rob, because who's not intrigued by Boston Rob?
Yeah, he pulls you in. And
so then we went and watched all of Boston Rob's seasons. So I think we went back to Marquesas and then watched Redemption Island. We have not watched Heroes vs. Villains yet. Because then by the time we got to Redemption Island, I was like, oh, there's this other season I want you to watch, and there's this other season I want you to watch. And then I was like, why don't we just start from the beginning? And my mom had seen Borneo back in the day, and I, at the time, didn't really feel like rewatching Borneo, so we just started with Australia and started working our way through. We did skip a few here and there. We didn't watch Thailand. We didn't watch Vanuatu.
Yeah.
We didn't watch Samoa.
I did like Vanuatu.
Because then at some point within this watch, we had Edge of Extinction, so I had to make sure that she saw Kelly Wentworth. I had to make sure that she saw Joe. I had to make sure that she had seen David, and she had seen Aubrey. So we kind of focused our watch through on those.
So maybe like, okay, so you've like obviously seen all of them, like most of them twice now in the short span of time. So you said you had like 3 favorites, or like, is there one that like stood out the most on the rewatch? I don't know.
On the rewatch, like, I think you'll be on the same boat as me, because I love a good hot mess season. Well, yes, Cook Islands is probably in that 3, but San Juan del Sur, is like, I don't know why. I guess I can see why people don't like it, or feel less enthusiastically about it. But Natalie Anderson like played this really intense kind of arc narratively. With Nadia being the first person to get voted out on that season, and then following her journey all the way through it to be the last person standing, and sitting next to people who had loved ones sitting on the jury, was a really, really compelling season, in my opinion. So
I love her. I love that season. I don't know. I need to go back and watch it again. because I only watched it once.
Also really loved China on the rewatch. Todd is one of my favorite winners. I think he masterfully did what he did in that season socially without having won, any individual immunities and things like that. So, and then obviously, you have your classics like your Heroes versus Villains, your Micronesia. Those are obviously two of the most popular seasons as a whole. And I think that they still hold up narratively, competitively, strategically, all of that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was like...
That was a whole lot of an answer.
That was a giant answer. Okay.
You can edit all of that out.
Okay, well, I think that this next question maybe will be a quicker answer. Okay, so let's say you get on Survivor. You find out it's fans versus favorites.
Ooh.
You are on a tribe with Tony Vlachos. Do you keep him in the game or do you vote him out?
I've been listening to a lot of conversation about this topic lately because, as I told you, I've been watching Kage-on like with my mom in the last few weeks. I think I'd keep him.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a shield. And he also, in a way, is a bit loyal. I mean, he's
I love a bit loyal in a way.
Through the tribe swaps and things like that, he did find a group of people that he kind of stuck with, and he had enough of a relationship with Wu that Wu chose to take him to the final two.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I think that at some point, yes, you do have to get rid of a Tony, but I think that carrying him with you, if he's a good asset to have with you. And he is a little bit easy to hide behind.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of day one on Survivor, and if, let's say you got on Survivor, day one on the beach, okay? Your tribe is on the beach. What is your number one priority of day one?
Talk to every single person.
I love it.
When you're on the beach, you have to hit the ground running. You have to make sure that you know everybody's names, you know where they're from, you know what they do. Because you don't know how long you're going to have with that person. Because as you saw in Game Changers, they swap tribes super quick. In the third episode of Game Changers, they swapped, and then they swapped again and again. And it's like, you never know how much time you're going to get with each of these players, and you need to make sure that you have a baseline relationship with them, because you're never going to know when you're going to need that.
And I love how you said, know their name, know where they're from. So it's not only like, I talk to everybody, but it's like, I remember something about each person, because you could use that, like, you can show them that you remember them. You could show them, like, the next day you say, so you're from Brooklyn. Right. Tell me more about that. And they're going to be like, oh, she remembers where I'm from.
And it's how I approach my job, too, as a flight attendant. Oftentimes I get stuck with new people every time I fly. And if I do fly with somebody who I've flown with before, I try to remember something that they told me the last time I flew with them, because it helps set up a basis. If there was an emergency, I have that person's back, because they know me, they know we have a rapport. I think it translates really well into a Survivor game.
Yep. Okay, next question. This is a really random question I thought of, but here we go. Wrestle hands, yes or no?
No.
Same.
100 no.
100 no. Okay, next question.
Also, I just watched Caramoan in South Pacific recently in the last 2 or 3 months. Brandon hands, also no.
Okay, my last question for you. If you were cast on a Blood versus Water season, who is your partner you're on the season with?
Well, I don't think my mom could hack it. I love my mom, but I don't think she could do it. My fiance probably, but I feel like he would do better than me.
I would love to see that so much.
I honestly do. He's probably going to listen to this, because I'm going to make him listen to it.
Yeah, of course.
I am terrified that if he ever applied for the show, that he would get on over me.
Well, okay, how would he do better at it than you?
He's very charming. I personally think that he has something that draws people to him, which he doesn't maybe necessarily see, but I see it in him, because I'm a person that's drawn to him, and I see how other people are around him. I mean, he's so funny and really, really likable, and so I think that I don't know how well I would translate on the beach. I could see how he would be.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we understand other people better than we understand our perceptions of ourselves. So, yeah. Do you guys think you would have the John and Jacqueline moment where you're having drama on the beach fighting over
I don't know to vote out?
Or... we don't fight a lot. We communicate really well, so I don't know if we would. But you never know if you've been starving for 30 something days and you've been through in high stress situations.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know how we would
Yeah,
react.
I would love to see it though.
Definitely, you know what? They're married now, and you know that was the test on their relationship when they were just dating. So
Yeah.
they made it through.
There we go. Yeah, so we might get a John and Jacqueline moment.
Yeah.
Shout out to Barrett.
Hey.
Okay, well those are my questions that I
Okay.
had for you.
Okay,
Woo!
woohoo.
You survived the rapid
Sorry,
fire.
I talk a lot, guys. I just have a lot of things to say, and I don't have a lot of people to say them to.
I'm gonna make that like my dating app bio. I have a lot of things to say, but no one to say them to.
Yes. Like, I could talk my mom's ear off about Survivor, but she'll be like, I don't remember who that person is.
Yeah, and you're like,
She doesn't remember
"Oh,
names
yeah.
very well.
Mom, it's the one who did this.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
She
Okay.
does remember Sarah Lacina.
Yeah, Sarah
Oh, I
Lacina.
love Sarah Lacina.
We'll get it. We will definitely be getting into that. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into the spreadsheet.
Okay.
So, like I said, there's a link in the show notes. I'm gonna have Katelyn give a brief synopsis of every tab
Sure.
she has on the spreadsheet, and we're going to just make our way through each tab. You know, we are not gonna read every row or column of this thing.
No.
We're gonna do just a brief description of the tab, and I feel like we're just going to talk about what we notice, what stands out to us about the different things that Katelyn has cataloged in this spreadsheet. So, Katelyn, tell us your creative process with this spreadsheet. What are all the tabs you got?
So the first tab that I have is just a list of the cast. It is written in from a chronological order from win, not appearance.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because Amber Burkich Mariano, whatever you want to refer to her last name is, I don't know.
Amba.
Mariano.
It's just Amba.
If you can. So the spreadsheet actually starts with Ethan. Even though Amber appears in Australia season 4, Ethan wins Africa. And we'll go all the way down to Nick Wilson, who is our earliest, or our most recent winner in David versus Goliath. And then it goes all the way across, and I have what their season appearances are, and then it's categorized in color by what their place was, whether they won that season, whether they were a finalist on that season, jury, pre-merge, and then I have a color for the current season and a special role, because obviously we had Rob and Sandra appear in a special role. And if Cochran was on this spreadsheet, he would have also had a special role when he came back in
Game Changers.
Yeah.
So when he was on that boat.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so that's tab 1.
So
tab
then,
2.
Yeah, the tab 2 kind of goes in. It's basically like a, I don't know what you would call this, it's a table. Everybody's name appears across and down. And then the box where they meet talks about their relationship. So,
I see what you mean.
So I've got Ethan and Sandra. They had no season crossover.
And this is only has to do with in the game.
This only has to, and then I did make a cute couple of notes if it wasn't necessarily game related, because I know that, like say Wendell and Michelle have spent a lot of time together outside the game because they both live in the same kind of area, and I just have noticed that on social media.
Yeah,
and
I think that I'll be able to jump in like from the survivors that I've stalked.
Exactly.
I'm not too knowledgeable,
Right.
but just like things I've noticed from who's hanging out.
Right, and then you've got like, you know, Amber and Sandra, where Amber's never played with Sandra, but Sandra's played with Rob twice.
Right.
And now appeared on, you know, Island of the Idols together.
Right.
So there's just a couple of notes here and there. It's not super thorough. It's just kind of a baseline of like, how are these two people connected and in what way?
Okay. And then the next tab is called Tribal Breakdowns.
So this is just based off of information that I have seen. I have not gone back to double check to make sure that the color of the tribes are right. I think that they are with the most recent appearance of them.
So this is like talking about season 40.
Season 40 tribes.
We know the starting tribes, which I was so great to see.
Yes.
I started thinking of like what could be happening on these starting tribes.
Right,
So-
because you knew that they weren't going to put Amber and Rob together.
Right.
But then you couldn't put Rob and Sandra together. So I was like, does that mean Amber and Sandra are going to be together? What's that going to look like?
So Katelyn, she put what their starting tribe is. She grouped them together. She has their age, what season they won,
Their
and
current age.
Their
So
current
their
age.
Their
Yeah.
current age that they're playing in now.
Yeah, and right now I'm just like I see a lot of 40s. We got a lot of people in their 40s.
So our age range this season will be 28 to 48, with I believe Nick or Adam. I can't remember. Nick or Adam is the youngest. And then it goes all the way up to Denise, who's going to be 48.
Dang, girl.
Not only the oldest woman, but the oldest contestant in this season, which I think is
Love
really
it.
interesting because she is an ox of a woman. I just finished watching Philippines with my mom, and like there's somebody called her an ox of a woman, and it has just stuck with me. I'm like, oh my god, she is. I want to be her. But I also don't work out that much. So.
Not on Denise levels.
Yes.
All right, the next tab is called Final Tribal Votes, and it Katelyn outlined what season that the winner won, how many votes they got, against who, and whether it was a final 2 or final 3 structure. So that's pretty basic.
Yeah, and you got a little asterisk down there with Wendell where he initially had 5 votes, but then a 5 plus 1 with the Laurel tiebreaker, which is kind of an unprecedented thing. It's never happened. So
Still surreal.
Yeah.
The next one is called Overall Stats. I see some numbers and percentages on this tab.
And this just breaks down, again, these 20 people that are on this season. Obviously, the overall stats of men versus women and the breakdown of those winners is going to be a little bit different, but it's just a stat of first time out winners, second time out winners, third time out winners, and fourth time out winners, because obviously we only have 1/3 and 4 time out winners with Tyson and Rob. And then you've got your 2-time winner, which is obviously Sandra. Then you've got your first time winners that have played again, which is a few people. We've got Ethan and no, I'm off the top of my head.
That's okay. We know what the percentage is.
Technically won, but then she lost.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I've got a couple in there, and now I'm off the top of my head. And then winners that have played again after their win, and then unanimous winners. We only have two of them that are playing. Obviously, there are more than that, because obviously we had Earl and Cochran, who were both unanimous winners as well, but obviously are not playing. So.
The next, this tab is big. The next tab, which I've not seen yet, is called Winning Season Data. What? This is crazy, Katelyn.
Yeah, so this was kind of just a reference point.
Wow.
I broke down each season for each winner. So obviously Sandra has 2 lines. It talks about which attempt this was for them, how old they were when they played in that season, tribal immunity wins, tribal reward wins, individual immunity, individual rewards, tribal council experiences, and then it kind of breaks down
idols, advantages.
I tried to make notes about the idols that were played, and then at the very end I just give some just general notes. Some fun facts. Most of it I did pull from like the Survivor Wiki and just like from my brain a little bit, breaking down stuff. So, kind of just, talking about, Sandra was the last winner standing in Game Changers. That's just a random fact. So just some random stuff to kind of take into consideration that might just be something that, affects the dynamics out there.
Yeah. And then the very last tab, which I like this one. Winners left out, where Katelyn wrote which winners are not on this season and her theory as to why they're not there. Such as Richard Hatch. The theory coming out of season 39 of they don't want him on the show because of prior circumstances. Right.
And there's a lot out there, because I've seen that he's been kind of taking to social media in the last week or so and really just been calling out the BS about all of it and why he's not there and what Jeff is saying, what production is saying. So we can get to that. That'll be at the end of our conversation, I think, after we get to talk about all the good stuff. So
dang, there's a lot to cover. We're going to try to, not go too long, but we're going to have fun just chatting about this stuff. So let's start with the first tab that's about the cast.
All right, I'm going to ask you one question.
Okay.
Give me your 2 guys and your 2 girls that you're most excited about.
The most excited people. Okay, I am most excited about Yul Kwan. I have been waiting for him to return.
Me too.
I had the biggest crush on him when I was probably like a little girl watching Survivor.
He still looks good today too, at whatever 44, 45 how old he is now, but
yeah, Yul Kwan. I find Tyson so funny.
Yes.
I think he is hysterical, so I will put Tyson in there as well. As really excited to see.
Okay.
For my 2 girls I'm excited for, this is kind of like a what's the phrase? Wild card,
dark horse.
Dark horse. Yeah. Okay, this is my wild horse.
Yeah.
Sophie Clark.
I've heard a lot of people saying that she's kind of a dark horse for them as well.
Or wild horse, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you call it,
yeah. I think she has a lot of good strategy, and she implemented it well in her winning season. But she's just not compelling. But I think her coming back could be really compelling. So I'm excited
Agreed.
to see what she can do.
Well, she was also 21 when she played. She's 30 now. And so
Oh,
there's
wow.
a lot of life that happens. She just got married recently. There's a lot of life
She's
that happens.
a doctor now, or did she finish med
I do
school?
believe she finished med school. And so, like, again, there's a lot of life that happens in your 20s, and I think that she could approach the game, or she could be perceived a lot differently at 30 than she was at 21.
And the other girl I'll say is Natalie Anderson. She is my favorite Survivor player. I found her so annoying on The Amazing Race.
I've never watched her Amazing Race
Her
season.
and Nadia called each other 20, and they were obnoxious, but they were like great TV, but they were obnoxious, dramatic. But I loved watching her play San Juan del Sur. I loved her arc, as we talked about.
Yeah.
So she was going to be on Game Changers. I was so excited for her
I
on
had seen
Game
that.
Changers. But then she got a concussion doing CrossFit and was not medically able to go.
Right.
Can you imagine the disappointment?
Yeah.
And that the fact that Sierra Dawn Thomas took her place.
Hey, Sierra Dawn Thomas ended up contributing immensely to Sarah Lucina's wins.
Yeah.
So we can get to that later.
Yeah, so...
Sierra Dawn Thomas emblem, if you
Sierra,
would.
oh gosh. I have this like running joke about Sierra Dawn Thomas that I love her, but I also hate her.
Agreed.
Can you hate someone? So
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I think it's because
Listen, when she got out on that beach with her bright blue nails, I'm like, why
that
paint
lasted
your nails?
forever.
Why are you painting your nails or getting your nails done right before you're going
I
on
would.
Survivor?
I would.
Oh gosh.
I know.
Anyways, that is neither here nor there.
Yeah. Okay, so who are you looking forward to?
My two would, oh man, I don't know. Again, Natalie Anderson's right up there with me too, as is Yule. So that's kind of like my one-on-one. Yule is like, I know that Cook Islands is not well received. You could not do a season like Cook Islands now with the way that they divided the
By
tribes
race.
to initially start. And but I think that Yule always spoke very well about that. But I would have to say it's kind of up there. My number two girl spot would probably be up there between Kim and Denise.
Yeah.
I know One World is another hot mess garbage train of a season.
Garbage train.
But listen, what Kim did was amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that she is well received in the community, and you know, Rob Has a Podcast has lifted her up and complimented her game so much,
Which
that I
might
think
be to her demise.
has rallied a lot of support around her. But then Denise she was at every single tribal council.
I know.
And I think that says a lot about her social game. The fact that she was only safe from I believe she won one immunity challenge. She was only safe at one single tribal council, and she made it all the way to the end with arguably two goats. But, you know, you can call that, you know, Mike and Lisa what you want. But nobody's going to give Mike the money, I think, no matter who he had been sitting next to. But Lisa had played a very tough game as well, but I think that she had formed such amazing relationships with the people on the jury that it shot her right to the top. So, and I think her only flaw there was she was planning on taking Malcolm to the end. She was 100% planning on taking Malcolm, which would have given Malcolm the win.
I would have been okay with it. I love
and I would
Malcolm.
have too. I would have absolutely been fine with that too. But like, I think that if she's going to go into this season, she needs to realize that that is not who you take to the end.
I bet she's learned.
I think that she and Malcolm are still very close, and so I think that it's probably a conversation that they've had a lot.
Yeah. Wow. Dang.
So yeah. So there, and then my number two guy probably. You know who I'm really fascinated to see come back? Ethan Zahn.
Really? The life you mean like the life he's been through?
The life that he has seen since he played 16 years. Since he last played 16 years ago, since he last won 18 years ago.
He has survived cancer. Twice.
Like
he's married now.
I just want to see him. I'm not necessarily like excited like, oh, he's gonna kill this game, he's gonna win.
Yeah.
But he is honestly like the most likable dude out there. And I think that if he gets in with the right people, if he makes the right relationships, I could see him making the merge. And if he ends at the end, who's not gonna give Ethan Zahn $1 million? $2 million.
You know, like all of these players, all these contestants are extremely likable, extremely charming. They won their seasons because I just see Sandra's name and I'm like, is she extremely likable? I really think she is. I think that you can easily love Sandra. You could be like a Russell and hate Sandra. But like, I'm looking at these people, you know, Michelle Fitzgerald won because she had made those friendships with the people on the jury.
It's true.
And
arguably she might not have won if she hadn't won that final advantage to remove Neil from the jury.
Right.
It might have been a different jury experience.
Mm-hmm. And like, I see Ben Driebergen was extremely, Katelyn grimaces, extremely likable, and that's why I believe he won, is because he made those connections.
And he's somebody you have run into in real life?
Yes. And I was extremely charmed by him. Yeah. I was like, it really I almost said turned me on, but like, you know, like I finally like came around to like, oh, that's why Ben is so likable.
You had a more well-rounded perception of him, or perspective.
Whereas Chrissy got hate for like, what do you know about me, Chrissy? You know, and people were mad at her about that. Okay, so anyways, all that to say that these people are all amazing social players.
Right.
Like, all of them on a beach together is going to be so
Can you look at this list and see who would struggle maybe socially?
I wonder, okay, so what I think about struggle socially is the people who have not been in the Survivor community.
Your Dannys, your Yules.
Danny's, Yules, like have just been really... Parvati hasn't been in the community for a hot second.
She's married with a baby now.
Yeah, she's actually
married to another Survivor.
But like, it's like, who has she been talking to for the past couple of years? They're still going to be great social players, but they don't have those ongoing relationships that other people do. Even
looking at Amber, sure, Amber's married to Boston Rob, one of the most iconic players and one of the most iconic winners that we're going to see in this season. But what is her experience in the community look like? Is she the one that's going to things? No, Boston Rob is. So like, who is it that she has these relationships with outside of her husband?
That is so true. So... I just can't wait to see all the sparks fly on the island. Like,
the only other one thing I wanted to look at while we're still staring at this particular spreadsheet is the look of the breakdowns. Boston Rob has never sat on a jury.
Wow. Yeah, because Katelyn has it color-coded by who was on a jury.
So what does Boston Rob on a jury look like? Is he fighting for one particular person?
Yeah.
Is he stirring up, excuse my language, is he stirring the shit? Like, what is he doing?
Both.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be fighting for someone, and I think he naturally does that thing where he plays devil's advocate.
Right.
I think that he will be, like, having those arguments with people. Like, if it's the open jury, the open format.
They've been doing for the last few
seasons.
seasons.
He's going to be jumping in. Oh,
so that's interesting.
The more I think about this season, I'm like, I'm so ready for it.
And I also look and see, if you look at, say, Sandra's last time out and Tony's last time out was on Game Changers. They both went out pre-merge. They both kind of had, like, not necessarily a crash and burn, but a little bit of a... Tony was the first one out on his tribe.
Oh, yeah. Sandra's was, in my opinion, truly amazing to see what she was doing.
True.
Because she was playing so differently.
The last winner standing in Game Changers.
Yeah. She did a lot of... Like, I just think about the Michaela Sugar incident and how truly amazing that was. Truly amazing.
Truly iconic.
And then getting JT out.
JT, we could have a whole other conversation about JT and why he is or is not here, which we can talk about it, when we get to him at the end.
I will admit that I've literally not thought one thing about him when it comes to people who are not on season 40. So,
right? Yeah.
So, like, I wonder if in my brain he's not even a winner in my mind.
Yeah. And so then you look at, say, your Tyson and your Sarah, who came back, who struggled in their season prior to their winning season. Tyson getting himself voted out of Heroes versus Villains, and then and Sarah Lacina, with the dissolution of Cops Are Us, or however you want to put that, being an indecisive swing vote, essentially. Yeah. What is that? Then they come back and play these super strong games. How does that raise or lower their threat levels? Are people looking at them? So those are kind of just the last few things I wanted to look at while we were kind of looking at the breakdown of.
And one thing that I want to just list real quick is there's the winners who this is their very first time coming back to Survivor. Danny Boatwright, Yul Kwan, Sophie Clark, Kim Spradlin, Denise, Natalie Anderson, Michelle Fitzgerald, Adam Klein, Ben Driebergen, Wendell Nick. So these are the ones that it's their very first time back. I think
And the only pre-20s are Yul and Danny. So the only ones who haven't played in the last 10 years are Yul and Danny.
Like, that's going to be like quite the shock back to the game.
And granted, idols existed in some sort of form in both of their seasons. That's a completely different game now, even when idols, because with, I think in Cook Islands the idol was an after the vote idol, or a god idol, I think is how they refer to it as. So Yul is essentially carrying around a blanket of safety the entire season. He never even had to use it. And then
I feel like, talking about that, I feel like Danny and Yul both are the type that they are going to come prepared. I think they've done their homework.
Okay.
What do you think?
Let's hope so, because I know, Yul is whip smart. He's a big wig at Facebook. Like, he still is very smart, and I think that aside from also being a recruit the first time he played.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow. I've read a little bit about his story.
Yeah.
And he was like a friend of somebody who saw, like, this is who we're trying to cast, and got him in, and then he goes and wins the whole thing in a very decisive and strategic game. I guess maybe not decisive, he only won by 1 vote, but but I think that he would do his research. I think that he would be prepared. I don't know. I don't know anything about Danny. I don't know who she is today. I don't know who she is.
She's a mom,
years later, right?
She seems like she's still, like, she's pretty fit,
She's in her 40s now.
Yeah, so I hope, like, I feel like she would have done her. I feel like she's probably been still watching along. Yul, it's like, I have no idea if he's still been watching, but true. I know that, he just seems like the type, like, super smart. He's going to do his homework.
Right, and, and we heard his voice in the season 40 preview.
What did he say again?
He said, the fire token's at another level of duplicity. Or another layer of duplicity. And I was like, I know that voice!
Everybody freaked out. Yeah. Another thing that I want to talk about real quick, looking at the list of these winners, is who, during their win, was able to hide behind duplicity, such as Adam Klein, way playing down his super fandom.
That's true.
But now coming back,
everybody knows.
Can't. Yeah, so, like, who, if you look at this list, is there anybody who this time around can't hide behind a layer? Like you would say with Tony Vlachos in Game Changers, the gig was up for him in Game Changers.
And he also kind of came in acting like a fool.
Yeah, but like
a little bit.
Yeah, he came in acting like a fool because everybody knew he would act like a fool. He couldn't hide behind that craziness that he was able to do the first time around.
Right.
Everybody knows that Adam Klein is a super duper duper fan.
Right.
He can't hide behind that anymore. Right. Everybody knows that Sarah Lucina will backstop you in a heartbeat.
She doesn't actually like anybody out there.
Yeah, but she doesn't.
I have to say that, but like, all these people thought Sarah was her best friend, and when in reality, Sarah was like, I don't really care.
Yeah. So like,
which made the backstabbing so much easier for her.
Right. So is there anybody else who like really sticks out as they won't be able to hide behind, or is there anybody who benefits from not having that? Like I'm looking at. Thinking of Ben Driebergen,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody out there is scared. Is scared of him. Right. They don't think that there's They think like, oh, he's someone who just won his way to the end. Right. There's not actually much there. They'll be scared of him when it comes to challenges, immunity.
I do think that there are a few people in there that will go in with a fairly low threat level just because. They had a less compelling narrative in their own win. Mm-hmm. Say you're Sophie, or you're Danny, or you're Michelle.
Michelle will really.
And I think that if those people hook up together or with the right people, that they could be really dangerous. Mm-hmm. I think that there are people who are not necessarily going to be able to hide. I think your Jeremy Collins is going to be very difficult to hide behind anybody because everybody knows how strong he is.
That he came up with the meat shield.
How kind he is, how charming he is. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves a Jeremy Collins. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't think there's anybody out there that's not going to like love Jeremy. Mm-hmm. But I think that that's going to make him come in with a really high threat level right off the bat.
Something else of note that I wanted to say before we move on is looking at the spreadsheet, the person who has been on Survivor the most is Rob Mariano.
Right.
He has been on Survivor 6 times, including Winners at War. Mm-hmm. Sandra's been out 5 times, including Winners at War.
And that includes their appearances on season 39, which they obviously weren't playing, but had a very heavy role in.
The people that have been, this will be their 4th time out, is Parvati and Tyson. This is their 4th time out.
Yes.
So
this is technically going to be Sandra, Parvati, and Tyson's 4th play. And Boston Rob's 5th play.
So that's just really interesting to think about. Like, they have a lot of experience. A lot of experience.
Right.
Coming out there.
One thing I didn't break down was how many days all these people have. Like, I think that would have been a really interesting.
She's like,
thing.
I need to make a new tab.
I need to add.
How many days?
How many days have they all been out there? And, granted, Boston Rob's played, this will be his 5th time, but the first, like I said, 2 out of the 4 times, he didn't even make the jury. He got voted out the last position before the jury. Marquesas, he was the first merge boot. It was back in season 4. Obviously, they were still you merged, then you vote someone out, and then the jury started. Kind of in its early format, but yeah, it'd be interesting.
So something else I'll just mention, because I'm a big fan of Survival Challenge and live reality games, is I just want to take a moment and say that Ethan Zahn and Sandra have both been to Maine, to Bob Crowley's estate, to watch Survival Challenge play, with Sandra being very involved in the production, as she would go do confessionals with players, and she would do their exit interviews. So Sandra is a big, there's so much strategy she has. Ethan was there to watch the game as well.
Right.
Adam Klein has played Survival Challenge.
Wendell.
And Adam Klein made it to final, now I can't remember, but he made it through the jury. Like, he got very close to the end playing Survival Challenge. Wendell Holland played Survival Challenge in South Africa.
And has played other, small renditions. Like, I know he played in Philly as well. And,
he's
played, still very
so he has played. But I think, now that I think about it, I think maybe Philly and South Africa might have both been after filming season 40.
They were within this last year.
Yeah, so, too bad.
South Africa was in September.
Yeah.
The beginning of September, end of August.
And they had already filmed.
And they had already filmed, yeah.
Okay.
Still.
And fun fact, Wendell got idled out the vote before the merge in the South Africa Survival Challenge, so that was pretty epic.
Yeah.
And there was one more that I was thinking of, but now I can't remember. Nope, I think it was Adam, Wendell, Sandra, and Ethan have been a part of live reality games.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
it's an interesting thing, because it's another layer of experience.
Yeah.
In a way.
So let's get into the big chunk of, the point of all this. How are these players connected, both inside Survivor and what we've known about or seen online, seen on social media over the years? Let's talk about the connections we have. So let's just start at the top with Ethan, and we'll just kind of go down the list of who we know has connections, and if we want to kind of talk about that connection.
And if you see, obviously if you see things that that are not on my thing, feel free to break them up.
Yeah. So who is Ethan connected with?
So obviously Ethan has played with Amber and Rob in All Stars.
Okay.
They never shared a tribe together, either one of them, because of the way that the tribe swaps happened, and when Ethan got voted out in that game.
He didn't make the merge.
He did not make the merge. I think
he was barely hanging on by a thread that whole time. He was always on the outs.
He was the last winner standing, I believe, in All Stars. Because
I'm pretty sure.
Because Hatch and Tina had both gone out before him. So I don't know what those relationships look like. They never shared a tribe together, so obviously they didn't necessarily have to work together strategically. Do I think that they could? I think that I could see Amber and Ethan working together.
I think that Ethan's only connections going into 40 are going to be these old school survivors. Like I told you that he went to Maine to watch Survival Challenge with Sandra. Like, Sandra's there.
Right.
If Richard Hatch was on the season, Richard Hatch was there at Survival Challenge. Bob Crowley was there. His connections are these old school players.
Right.
And as far as I recall, those are his only connections that I've seen on social media.
Right.
I think that since 40, he's had, because of the connections he's made with these people, I've seen him have a lot more interactions.
Right.
with people, but I think that was only after taping.
Right. And, and everybody knows that Ethan and Jenna Morosco were together for a long, long time. He is now, married to another woman, and they've been, but I feel like that was like his really only other like lingering connection for many, many years. And then, with all of his health problems, he just like, he had other things to focus on. So I don't know what it's going to look like for him. But the thing about Ethan is he's legitimately the nicest person on planet Earth. And I just don't know, like, he's super humble and quiet and kind of unsuspecting. And I think
charming.
But I think that about Amber a lot, too. I think Amber, like, is often very underrated in the way that people talk about her. Because everybody says Boston Rob should have won All-Stars. Yeah. It was his game to win or lose. So obviously, yeah, but...
I think that Amber will be coming... Let's just jump to Amber. We'll come back to Sandra.
Yeah.
Let's jump to Amber. I think Amber has a lot to prove.
I do too.
This season.
Right.
She also, I feel like I bet a lot of the women who are coming as moms now, like, we'll talk about all these.
So many
moms. I think that I think from at least one of them, probably more, is we're going to get a lot of messages of, I want to show my kids what I can do and to not give up and to fight hard.
Mommy is strong too.
Yeah, so I think that Amber, she's going to be like, no, I deserved my win.
Especially because she's got 4 little girls that are literally all carbon copies of her.
I know, it's so precious.
And I think that, Rob obviously loves his daughters and is very involved in their lives and stuff, but I think that it's Amber's time to shine.
Did you see Amber's necklace that she's wearing in her Survivor headshot?
No.
Amber has this chain necklace that has, I could tell, has 4 little tags on it, and I'm sure it has her daughter's names on it.
Oh,
so I think that is just so precious, and I think so. Let's look at like who Amber's connected with. Once again, she has played with Rob. Obviously, they got engaged on national television.
Everybody remembers the iconic I Heart Rob yellow T-shirt, which apparently they like are selling now on their website. So if you're interested in buying an I Heart Rob shirt for season 40,
I kind of want to just for the hilarity of it, but like I'm not.
Maybe you could dress up as Amber. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So her only connection is the same that Ethan has. You know, it's the old school players.
Right.
We know that, her connection with Sandra is because Sandra has played with Rob, and so therefore Amber could be connected with Sandra, could be connected with Parvati because she played with Rob. Like there's
I did see was it Dalton Ross had asked everybody to vote somebody out before the game in his preseason interviews and stuff, and she had chosen Sandra. She was like, I'm sorry girl, but I just can't read you. So that's really interesting to me because I'm like, out of all the people, I figured that Sandra might be the one person that she might have an in with. And if she can't even read Sandra, listen, Sandra's been playing this game since 2003, when the season 7 was filmed. She has been playing Survivor for the last
she has not
years.
stopped playing Survivor.
She has not stopped playing Survivor, and so I wonder if she's always kind of kept a distance or tried to be unreadable in that sense so that nobody can ever get a leg up.
Yeah, so let's jump to Sandra. Do you think, so talking about how Amber wants to vote out Sandra first, do you think that Sandra and Rob might have like some like like when you like live with someone for a long time, like a roommate or something, and you just like, if drama happens and it's just like a scab that won't heal, like do you think that like Sandra and Rob are leaving season 39 like best friends?
No.
Or do you think that there's like drama going on? We didn't see any.
I don't think it's
but do you think they're like sick of each other?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily drama. I just think it's going to be like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with this person anymore.
I feel like we saw some of that. We saw, I think we saw like Rob making passive aggressive comments about Sandra, right?
Maybe. But I also think it's a little bit of like, I feel like Sandra kind of took a back seat to Rob when it came to the Island of the Idols challenges. Yeah. I think that she ended up not being presented in the same way that Rob was as like the iconic idol person. I mean, she obviously had her fun with Vince and the
so good
crawling through the sand and the palm leaves and stuff, but like I also kind of think, well, maybe she's just trying to keep her threat level down. She doesn't want to say too much or do too much or put herself out there too much. Probably knowing while they're filming 39 that they're going to be coming out for season 40. They probably went directly into filming season 40 with maybe just a short break in between.
Right. So they knew, so like they probably talked on the island so much about season 40.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they probably talked a ton about it. But how funny would it be if they both left 39 like, I'm getting them out. I want to get them out.
I can 100% see that happening. Where Sandra walking away like, well, I gotta get him. I told him too much. Gotta get him out first.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so Sandra has played with Parvati in Heroes vs.
Sandra
Villains.
really has the most connections.
Yeah.
Obviously because she's played and won twice, but also because Heroes vs. Villains has produced and or had a lot of other winners in it.
So do you think her and Parvati will work together?
I don't know, because I don't know if they necessarily even wanted to be together at the end of Heroes vs. Villains.
Right, they weren't really
on each other's teams, but like...
Did Parvati play an idol on Sandra? Who were her two idols played for?
Let me
Was
see.
it Sandra and
Let me see. I probably wrote something
Jerry?
down here.
So while Caitlin's doing that, I'm looking at the tribal breakdowns because I can't remember if Parvati and Sandra are on the same tribe. No, so they're starting tribes. They are not together. So we won't be able to see them work together till a swap if they're both still around because those are two huge threats for to get out right away.
I don't have a note about it, but I want to say that Parvati played her idols for Jerry and...
I think it was Sandra. Jerry and someone.
Let me see. But, yeah, anyways, keep talking, so we're not going to have,
dead
air here.
But I'm also looking at the tribal breakdowns and seeing where Ethan Zahn is starting.
He's going to be down with,
Ethan,
with Rob.
Ethan is starting with Boston Rob. So he has that connection on his tribe. And the other old school players would be Danny Boatwright and Parvati. So, does Ethan have a connection with Parvati and Danny?
Oh, she did play one on Danny.
I don't think so. So Jerry and Sandra. So, Sandra has that connection with Parvati, that Parvati,
right.
Not because she wanted to save her, it's because she wanted to keep a number.
That's true.
But
she was playing it to bring them over to her side.
And you can totally imagine bitterness that Parvati has that Sandra beat her.
Right, because, again, arguably, should it have been Parvati's game? Should it have been Russell's game? I don't know. So I think
never Russell's game.
It's never Russell's game, in my opinion.
No.
Other people will argue against that, but...
was Parvati that unlikable? But, they saw her as Russell's sidekick, so...
Yeah, and what was the breakdown of that vote? It was... Well, Parvati received 3 of the final votes, and so, you don't know. We can't, speculate on if that or the other sometimes, but
the question is, will they be playing together? I think they would. I think game respects game, and that they know they're two big female threats. Oh, what am I talking about? They're all threats out there.
I mean, they
all know they're
sure.
threats. So what is this going to look like?
Yeah.
So
how do you diminish threat in a game full of 20 threats? Like, how do you diminish your own threat level when you're playing against threat level? Level 0.
Threat level midnight.
Midnight. That's the one I was looking for. You got it.
Season 40. Threat level midnight.
With
sure. Michael Scorn.
All right, and so continuing on then to talk about other people that were playing with her in Heroes vs. Villains.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have your Boston Rob and you have your Tyson, who both went out
before the merge.
Because,
Sandra just kept on surviving.
Yes, both of them went out before the merge, yeah.
And then she played with Tony and Sarah in Game Changers.
And you could argue, too, that she and Tony and her were both out before the merge, so that means they went on the pre-merge trip together.
Yeah, they
spent a lot of time talking about whatever, and Sandra's always in game mode.
I loved their arc in Game Changers. It was so good because I saw what I wanted to see, which was Tony and Sandra say, all right, let's work together. We're in an alliance. And I was so happy. And then immediately they turn on each other and in the most glorious flame out in history.
Yes.
It was beautiful. So if I could see them together, working together again, I would be
I could
so
see
ecstatic.
it happening almost exactly. Sandra being like, "Oh no, we already did that. It's gonna be fine," and then pulling another one. Like I could see that being
happening
hilarious
again.
And they're
guess
starting
what?
on the same tribe.
They're starting on the same tribe. So if we see that happen again,
Yeah.
I don't know if
Could
I
be
would love it or
interesting.
hate it.
Right.
I might love it because Sandra is just
Right.
hysterical. Okay, let's go to Danny Boatwright, which if you look through her connections,
Nothing.
she has no crossovers with anybody else.
And I honestly couldn't tell you that she has any kind of outside the game relationships with any of these people either. So if you look at, she was played in Guatemala, which was season 11.
She played with Stephanie LaGrossa.
Right.
Does that connection give her connections
Right.
that Stephanie might have?
I don't know. And you can
Because
also
Stephanie
look...
played Heroes versus Villains.
Right, and you can also look and see, what other seasons were filmed around the same time. What was before and what was after. You had Tom Westman before, and you had Aris after.
I
Because Guatemala, it's Palau, Guatemala, and then Exile Island. So it's like neither one of those people are playing. So the next closest would be Yule. But again, how much time or crossover does that have?
Exactly.
Not,
exactly.
How much time outside of the game,
And
whether it was appearances, finales, things like that, was there actual relationship time?
And was she going to all of the reality events, or was she
I don't
just
know.
deciding to move on with her life?
Exactly. What was going on in 2005? I don't know.
When you think of Rob and Amber, they were soaking up the limelight wherever the heck they
were
could
on
find
magazine
it.
covers.
Ethan Zahn was going to a ton of reality events. Was Danny Boatwright
And
going?
because Ethan also does a lot of nonprofit work and
Yeah.
stuff like that, so he tries to make appearances and make connections and networking in that way. So I could see how that would help him, but I don't see Danny didn't do that. I don't know what she was doing. I don't know what she's been doing. But that also could play in her favor. She's completely unsuspecting and completely blank slate. Nobody knows what she's
and
gonna
nobody is saying oh, we've got to get out Danny because she's going to be connected with someone else on the other tribe.
Right.
They're going to be thinking about, it's all about the numbers.
Right.
And they're going to be like, all right, well, Danny is her own number.
Right.
Just like when Natalie Anderson made it to the end because she didn't have a number with her sister.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about
Yul.
Yul Kwan. This is where we once again come across someone who we don't know any connections they have in, from what we've seen on social media.
Other than he played with Parvati.
Which
I think gets glossed over. I've been listening to and reading a lot of conversations and discussions around this season. I was like, does nobody realize Parvati's first season was Cook Islands? So she was the last person from outside that tribe, other than, I believe, Adam went out right after her. So I think she finished 6th. Outside of that I-2-4, I was like, she was right there in the end days with Yule and Ozzy and Sandra and Becky. She was there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so they did spend a considerable amount of time. Again, I don't know how that's going to translate to if 13 years later.
I bet that they did. No, maybe they didn't. I was thinking, did they have a pregame phone call before going out? Did they reconnect? Would Yule be the type to reconnect? Would Parvati be the type to reconnect?
Right.
I bet Parvati would.
I believe, and she's in her mid-30s now. She's in a different stage of life, chapter of her life right now, where I could see that happening.
Yeah, let's jump to Parvati.
Because she's
her
the next on our
connections
list here.
and how. Okay, I think Parvati's going to come with a huge threat level on her.
100%.
People have seen how well she
was almost the 2-time winner. We don't. Again, something that gets glossed over. Out of the 3 options at the end of Heroes versus Villains, 2 of them were previous winners.
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
So she has played with Tyson. She's played with Rob. But she also has connections outside of. Well, now that I'm looking at the list, I don't know if she's had many connections with these people. Parvati was really involved in the community for a while, but then she, had a normal life.
Got married.
Yeah.
To those of you that don't know, she's married to John Fincher of Samoa. Did he play in Samoa? Let me double check myself.
When I literally had to look up who John Fincher was and
same.
I was like, I don't even know who this guy is.
Well, because also, yes, Samoa is one of my least favorite seasons. I have not rewatched Samoa. It's extremely unsatisfying.
No, it's not.
However you want to put it.
A lot of, you either love or hate Russell. So, so I think Parvati.
It's going to be interesting.
I think she'll be able to do it. I think she is. She has a good sense and perception of people, and I think it'll be fine.
I wonder what tool set does she have now? Because obviously, something that she has relied on heavily in the last 3 times that she has played is her feminine wiles, the seductive kind of behavior.
Let's look at the list of these men.
True.
Who would she be able to flirt with?
She's married. Second of all, most of these men are married with children.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine her like doing her flirty charm on Adam Klein?
Adam Klein would not know what to do with
that. Oh my gosh.
No offense, Adam, if I ever meet you.
He would be totally aware of what was going on, but be like totally fine with it. Because it's Parvati. Like, it's Parvati. He would be like...
Yeah. Everybody knows what to expect with Parvati.
Yeah.
So I wonder what tool set does she have? Can she morph that into something that's a little bit more mature and...
could she get an all-girl alliance going again?
Let me see Parvati and Kim and Natalie
oh my gosh,
and Denise at the end.
Dear Lord.
And Danny.
Okay, so Parvati is starting on the Blue Tribe. The other ladies...
She'll be with Natalie Michelle,
Natalie
Danny
Anderson.
Denise.
Oh my goodness.
She's going to be with Boston Rob down there. She's got Ethan with her and Adam Klein.
Yes, Adam Klein is on her starting tribe. I hope we can see that happen.
It could be a very interesting... I could see her working well with, with Natalie, who's like right kind of in that same age group that she is. But then with, Danny and Denise being, older women with children, and coming back and playing in a very physical way.
I think Parvati and Michelle are going to get along really well. I think it's funny to think about how Natalie Anderson is super into CrossFit.
Right.
And Parvati is super into yoga.
Okay.
Like, I wonder if there's any overlap with that.
Interesting.
If they'll get along.
Or if that's kind of combative in a way.
I know.
In a physicality way. Because I could see, well, maybe, Natalie and Denise then with their fitness levels. Because, Denise is, really fit. If you've seen that lady's arms, she could punch me in the face. That would be fine. And so I could see maybe them...
And the guys on their tribe might not be super into the CrossFit kind of stuff, but Jeremy Collins is fit.
He's a firefighter.
Ben Driebergen is
a vet. Yes.
Yeah. So
I think he's got a little dad bod going on. I haven't seen anything recent, but he is still a pretty big.
Yeah, they're gonna have a fit fam.
Yeah,
fit fam
fit
alliance
fam for sure. And Boston Rob obviously has got full on dad bod at this point, but
You know what? In his cast photo, when he has the swimsuit photo, I saw abs at the top. I saw abs
he just
there.
got off not eating.
I know.
For 30
I was like, look
days.
at there's 2 abs sticking out. Look at that. Okay, let's jump to, speaking of the man with the abs, Boston Rob.
We've talked a lot about Rob so far.
I know.
Because he's been so prevalent even in just this last year.
So something that we could talk about is that Boston Rob and Tyson Apostle are BFFs. They are very close. They were on the pre-jury trip on Heroes versus Villains together. They were in alliance on Heroes versus Villains.
They both run in kind of the Survivor poker world. You could also, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, you could say they're both also very involved in the community still because Tyson works on Rob Has a Podcast and Boston Rob is very close in that community as well. He does make a lot of appearances at rehab events and things like that. So they cross paths a lot. And
something else I just thought of with Boston Rob is the East Coast connections with Jeremy Collins, who works in Boston.
This is true.
They're going to have that natural connection. Whether they've met, I bet they have met, honestly.
Oh, they've probably met, yeah.
Before they filmed. Also, East Coast is Wendell Holland is over there. But Wendell Holland's not Boston or even New York. He's Philly, but he's in the East. Michelle Fitzgerald is New Jersey.
Right.
I think that just natural.
Did she move to Boston recently, though?
I think she was in Boston for a bit.
I'm not sure she's still there, but...
So, they have, you just... I have family in Boston. I go to Boston once a year. It's a whole nother world, and they get each other. And so I could see just that being a natural connection. Okay, Sophie Clark.
Sophie.
No prior
season crossovers.
seasons with anybody.
Trying to think of.
Well, Sophie has, speaking of the podcast community, the Rob has a podcast.
She is huge in that community.
She, so
she's kind of done the groundwork of, like, respect my game in the 9 years since her
she's
game.
had to fight for her game.
She has had to fight for her game, but I do think that she has fought and successfully brought a lot of people on her team, a lot of fans being like, okay, I can respect Sophie's game.
So, does she have any, can you think of any connections she has with other players, though?
Off the top of my head, no, because I was about to say the only other, previous player, she played with Ozzy and Coach, who maybe have a Yule or a Tyson connection. That is like, what,
Tyson is the one that I
grasping
thought.
at straws.
Yeah, if she has any connection outside of Survivor, it would be Tyson.
Tyson would be because of the Rob Cesternino connection.
And I feel like they have similar senses of humor.
Yeah.
Sophie is starting on the Red Tribe, and as I'm looking at the Red Tribe, she is with Tyson on the Red Tribe. So that
could be something.
Connection.
I could see Sophie and Sarah Lacina doing well together, only because they kind of have the same perception as the people look at them and they're kind of cold, kind of blunt, kind of calculated in a way. And I could see that their personalities being like, hey, we're in this together. People see us the same way. But that also could work the other direction where, like, you're too much like me and there can only be one of us.
Yes. And I also think of Yul Kwan as on her tribe. And I just think that, Yul is very smart. He's high up in high up in Facebook. And, like, Sophie is really, really smart because she's a doctor. Like, I wonder if there's, like, that, like,
I would love to see a Yul Sophie kind of connection because I can see a lot of Sophie in Becky. Becky was Yul's right-hand gal. They were strategizing together, and Becky was very, very smart, and I think that her game often gets overlooked as, like, she and Yul were making a lot of those moves together, whereas Yul was playing a little bit more aggressively, but I think the intelligence factor of it is, so I could see a lot of that.
Epic. Okay, let's jump into Kim Spradlin.
My girl, Kim.
Now, you talked about how people have been casting their first votes out on Dalton Ross's Instagram. Right. We've only seen a handful so far, right?
I think so.
Do we know if... I feel like Kim Spradlin is coming with the biggest target on her back only because she is regarded as one of the best winners of Survivor. So the other winners want to get her out because they're like, she's not the best winner. Like,
right, I could see Sandra
just getting
being
her
like,
out.
I can't have Kim win a second time because Kim arguably is a better winner than me.
Yeah.
Sure, Sandra doesn't want that to be the case.
They start on the same tribe. Kim and Sandra they better work together.
For sure.
I think it's going to be you're either with me
or
against me. I could
see the Kim-Amber alliance being really compelling.
Oh, the mom. Are they all moms? No. Sarah's a mom.
Yes.
Sandra, Kim, Amber.
Yeah, so
Sophie's the only one who's not a mom.
the youngest and the
wow,
all on her own moment there.
Yeah. So yeah, Kim has no crossovers, but I will say the connections I've seen with her on social media, her and Tyson will comment on each other's stuff all the time. They have super similar senses of humor. I'm sure they've hung out outside of Survivor. So Kim and Tyson have a connection. Therefore, Kim and Boston Rob probably have a connection.
Right.
Kim and is there any? I think I've seen Jeremy call. I can't remember if it was before season 40 taped or not, but I think there was like a get together with a lot of people. Oh, now I can't remember.
Right.
But I think that's who I've seen so far. But it's like Tyson, Rob.
I know that Kim is still very close with women from her own season. I know that she's still very close with Kat and with Chelsea. But I don't know what other relationships she has. And I follow her on Instagram, and it's like, because she's from San Antonio. She's from where I'm from. And so, like, I've always been like super intrigued with her. But I don't know who else she has relationships with. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I saw somebody on her stories recently, but I could not tell you that she was helping with house stuff because she's an interior designer.
Like you mean one of the people from the season?
Not necessarily from this season, but somebody
a
different survivor. And I cannot remember. But as we continue the conversation, I might try to find out who that was.
Kim is on the same tribe as Tyson.
Okay.
I can guarantee that they are going to be protecting each other. I believe Kim and Tyson protecting each other. Now the question is, who are they going to be in alliance with as well? So, how close were we to talking about Tyson? Tyson is
close
2
up
away.
there.
So let's
Yeah.
just jump.
We can jump to Tyson.
And then we'll come back to Denise.
Yeah.
So Tyson
Oh, Tyson.
has connections with people.
Right.
We know he has connections close with Boston Rob. We just talked about we said might be, Sophie might have a connection with him. And Kim Spradlin. And Jeremy
What I was
Collins,
just thinking about the Kim Spradlin is he said at the end with Monica. When did Monica play? One World with Kim.
Wow. Yeah.
I literally just thought about that.
Yeah. With Tyson.
So there's like maybe a connection there if Kim has any sort of relationship with Monica that maybe at some point they've run in the same circles together.
Yep.
At an event or something.
Okay, so here's like a theory of what's going to happen on the Red Tribe.
Okay.
Tyson and Kim are going to be together.
Okay.
Amber will be with Tyson because Tyson and Boston Rob are BFFs. All right, that's 3. We've got Amber, Kim, Tyson.
Uh-huh.
So who does that also bring in? I feel like Wendell is going to jump with Tyson.
I think that in my opinion, I could see them being very similar archetypes. The kind of physical, smart, but trying to hide it. Because, Wendell didn't tell anybody he was technically a lawyer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he doesn't practice law anymore, but at the time, he had gone to law school, he had been practicing as a lawyer, and he's like, no, I make furniture, trying to diminish how smart he is. And Tyson is extremely intelligent, and he always tries to downplay that with his humor. But you cannot be that funny if you're not smart.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry to all the funny people out there
Yeah.
who think that, or who think that they're funny. You can't be that funny unless you're extremely smart.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think that I could see them kind of playing in that same.
Yep. So then I think Sandra will have the choice if she aligns with the Tyson, Kim, Amber alliance, and I think Wendell will be there. If she aligns with them, or if she has to align with Sarah Lucina, which for some reason I feel like her and Sarah Lucina might have some
Beef?
Some beef. Do you think so? I think following Game Changers.
Yeah.
I can see
Because I feel like Sandra probably didn't necessarily respect.
I'm sure.
Sarah Lucina
Yeah.
a little bit in
until she probably saw the show air.
Right. But at the same, queen will stay queen mentality, where she didn't want somebody who went out as early as she did in her first season to come and win this game.
Exactly. Look,
how are you a game changer? No, I'm the game changer.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of that mentality.
Tony Vlachos is on that tribe.
With Sarah?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't even realized.
These
two people have played all 3 of their seasons together. All 3 appearances.
Even Game Changers?
They were both on Game... Well, I mean, as in they were together. They were both on Game Changers. They were both on Caveat. Now they are both on Winners at War. Are they not allowed to play in their own season?
Wow. So Sandra's going to be caught in a pickle of who she's going to align with.
That's true.
Or all of these people are going to want to get Sandra out.
This is true. This could work against her.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. Okay. That was a brain exercise right there.
Brain exercise for sure.
So that was the Tyson talk.
For sure.
Let's go back
to Denise, my ox of a woman over here.
She has not played with anybody else on this season.
Yes, you could argue her connection with Malcolm gives her a little bit of a connection with Sandra, because Malcolm also went out pre-merge on Game Changers.
Wow, that pre-merge was amazing.
It's a wild pre-merge.
Yeah.
It's a wild season in general.
So that is a very...
Again, grasping at straws. We're just trying to find any
I could see Denise meets with Malcolm before season 40. You know what? I'm actually remembering Denise went and visited Malcolm within the last year, and they posted about it. It was probably prior to filming.
Okay.
I bet he did whatever he could.
I bet you there was some pregame talk, let's get together and strategize together. I also know that Denise and Sarah Lucina are from the same town. Same area. They're both from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cedar something, Iowa.
Wow. Oh, they have totally hung out.
Yeah.
I mean, they totally connected to talk about 40.
Mm-hmm. She is from, let's see.
Muscatine, Iowa. Denise is from...
I believe Denise is also from Iowa. Cedar Rapids. I think they're very close. I think that where Sarah's from is a smaller town within that sphere.
Iowa.
That's, But you know,
that's a really good point.
But when geographically you're close to other winners, you tend to, or to other players.
Yeah.
I was like, I see stuff happening in Cincinnati all the time, which is
players
weird
in
because
Cincinnati.
Lil is from Cincinnati. Johnny Fairplay ends up in Cincinnati a lot. I don't know why.
Because Matt Bischoff is in Cincinnati. And the Daughtry is down more
Chris?
south. Yeah, Chris Daughtry.
Vanuatu winner.
Yep. So, like, yeah, we'll
We'll talk about him when we get to the winners left out a little bit. But
yeah, so...
interesting.
So Denise's possible connection with Sarah Lucina opens up the Tony connection.
Right.
Opens up, the Sandra connection.
A whole lot of things. Interesting.
Ooh, all right.
Okay.
Speaking of Tony.
Tony
has played in Cagayan with Sarah Lucina. Mm-hmm. Tony, that in the game, burned Sarah.
Hard.
But then, as we've learned afterwards and after Game Changers, that he really made, they are really good friends, and he would call Sarah Lucina and talk about their strategy before 35. They planned out 35 together of
Interesting.
he really coached her up of how she could win.
Interesting.
I think Tony is a really good guy.
So we could see them actually working together, because I was unsure. I did not know necessarily what their relationship looked like outside of the game.
Cagayan.
Especially because I'm watching Cagayan again right now, and it's like, oh, that was tough. And but it's interesting to know that they are relatively close outside of the game, or have been in the past, and so could be interesting.
I think Tony, he burnt a lot of bridges in Cagayan, and then spent the year following building those bridges up. Chaos Cass has talked about how close she is with Tony, and how close she is with Sarah Lucina.
Cass
I think
was on a podcast recently. She was like, told Rob, don't ask me any questions about season 40 because I've been spoiled on things. So that's she is in the inn with at least more than one person on that season.
Speaking of Cagayan, you have a really cool note here with Wendell.
Oh yeah, because Wendell and Bryce are BFFs. If Bryce Isaiah of Purple Pants podcast, it's the Purple Pants. And Bryce played in Cagayan. Obviously, he was third one out, but he does still is a part of that cast, which kind of gives an into the Tony connection. Because I know that in Philadelphia, Wendell put on a charity poker thing.
Yeah, Wendell and Bryce
within the last year, and Tony was there. Jeremy was there.
Was that post?
Rob was there. I don't remember exactly when it was.
I think it was post 40. I think it was
which
post
is really
40.
Interesting.
Yeah.
To try and think about the timeline of all of this now.
Yeah.
How did all these connections come about? But again, that Bryce connection does give at least an open door to Tony, because there's a chance that he had met Tony prior.
Do you think Tony is pre-gaming before 40, calling up people?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I do believe that, because again, I also think
people.
that Tony is kind of always playing the game in a way.
Oh yeah.
Not quite to the extent that Sandra is literally always playing the game, but
but he is making those pregame calls.
For sure. I'm sure he and Sarah Lucina had another conversation before going out. He probably called whoever he can get his hands on, anybody he had met prior to it. He was probably talking to.
If we're sitting here in Dayton, we know that Tony and Sarah are really close. The winners out there playing know that Tony and Sarah are super close. If I know it, I'm sure someone out there knows it.
Right, that's true.
So that's going to be a huge threat for them.
Interesting, yeah, for sure.
Let's go to Natalie Anderson. She played in San Juan del Sur with Jeremy Collins. They were super close. He gets voted out. She says, I'm going to avenge Jeremy's vote out. So she gets, who does she end up getting out to? John Mish?
John Mish for revenge. And guess who's on the same tribe?
Natalie and Jeremy are on the same tribe together. Praise God. I'm so excited that they get to, they are protecting each other.
Because here's the thing, is Natalie had 0 at hand in voting Jeremy out.
Right.
She was blindsided by Jeremy's blindside.
Right.
So there was no bad blood in that season between the two of them. She talked a lot how much she was rooting for him in Cambodia. I think that there was a small chance that she was doing something around that time where she was doing interviews or stuff like that with people during that season talking about Jeremy and Jeremy's game.
So when I was thinking about 40, and I've thought a lot about Natalie because I really want her to do well, and I've just thought man, she is not connected from what I've seen online with anybody besides Jeremy. So just hearing that she's on the same tribe with him, I was like, okay, she's got a foothold. She's got to do the social work. And you know what? She might not be a huge threat to people.
No, she might not, because there are so many threats and different threat levels. But again, all threats. Her threat might be overlooked initially because she's on the same tribe as Sarah Lacina and or not Sarah Lacina of say the Parvati, and the Jeremy might attract more attention than she will. She could potentially use Jeremy as her shield in addition to being her alliance.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's perfect. All right, let's jump to Jeremy. So I think that Jeremy has more connections outside of the game of Survivor.
Because again, he's one of the most likable people.
Yeah.
He is a family guy. He is a personable person.
Yeah. I think he has stayed connected within the community, and he had to get a lot of votes to come back to Second Chance.
That's true.
So he had to promote himself for Survivor Second Chance.
That's true.
And make those connections. I'm sure him and Wendell are gonna like hit it off right away. I
if
think
they hadn't met already.
Yeah, I think they're on different tribes to start out.
Mm-hmm. But if you can get them to a swap or to a merge and they're together, I could see them hooking up for sure.
Jeremy could get along with anyone.
Oh, for sure.
Anyone. Oh my gosh.
I could see Jeremy working with Denise. Denise is going to be on Jeremy's tribe.
They would get along.
I think that they are both kind of at the same stage of life where they've got kids. They're in their 40s. They're family oriented people. I could see Jeremy, working with Danny, because Danny is, again, she's a fit woman. She is a family person, and so I don't know. I feel like Jeremy's in a really good spot.
Okay, so
or the complete opposite.
I know, or he's like a huge threat. So Jeremy's the one who started the meat shield strategy.
True.
Well, it could have been a strategy beforehand, but he called it the meat shield. So if we're looking at the blue tribe, tell me, who would he make his meat shield out of the blue tribe?
Boston Rob.
Boston Rob.
100%.
He is going to want to keep around Boston Rob to keep him as his meat shield.
But
if he's still going with the meat shield
But if you're
strategy.
smart, you have to watch what the other tribe is doing. Is Amber still there? You cannot let them get swapped onto the same tribe or to the Burns together.
Or you say, let them both be in there, because that's a bigger meat shield.
That is true.
That is a double meat sandwich.
That's true.
Parvati, huge meat shield.
This is true.
So, if Jeremy's going to do that again, but then again, everybody knows about this strategy. Right. If he's going to do it again, he's got some good meat shields.
Right. Oh, man.
Okay, so let's talk about, we've got the new school players. When I look at the list of who we have left, before we talk about each of their connections.
Yeah, so we are full on into the 30s now.
Yep, I think that these last winners, every time I've thought about season 40, I have thought that these are the players that are going to align together ASAP, because they're the young new winners, and they have been in the circuit, they've been
and this is kind of not necessarily excluding, but kind of excluding Sarah Lacina, because I definitely think that she falls back, even though she won season 34 or whatever. Yeah. I'm looking at the new, these Michelle, Adam, Ben, Wendell, Nick, this group you don't know. They have
all hung out with each other in so many situations. Not all of them together, but especially Wendell. Wendell wins Ghost Island, and he is at
everybody's
single
everything
Survivor event.
For sure.
Which, in all honesty,
because he works for himself, he can do whatever he wants.
If I won Survivor, I'm gonna be involved. Oh, or even if I was just on Survivor, right. I'm gonna be in every circuit,
right?
That just for funsies, why not? So Michelle Fitzgerald, we have a note on
silly note.
I know. So I've told Katelyn that I have this theory that Wendell and Michelle are dating, and this was prior to season 40 too. I just they hang out a lot and in small groups, and
one-on-one. I've seen them hanging out on one-on-one on their Instagrams.
So I'm God, there's got to be something going on. So
yeah, so I think that would be a very aesthetically pleasing couple, in my opinion. So
they are super cute, friends or more than friends. But they are really close.
Yep, and they will not be starting on the same tribe, but
if they are able to connect,
swapped, if they're able to connect somehow, if there is some sort of pregame alliance happening there that could be working their advantage if people aren't suspecting it.
Do you think that Michelle has any other connections besides just the like young, newer winners connection?
I don't
think she does.
I don't necessarily think so. I think that she could easily get connected to people because I think she's nice and she's quiet and soft. She's not super aggressive or intimidating, and so I think that works well in forming relationships with other people who are, because the paranoia maybe is less if this person is a soft, calming presence, and I think that she is.
And she has like no threat level coming in at all.
I think that she could go in and prove people wrong. I think that she has.
That's what she wants to do.
She wants
She wants
to prove to everybody that I deserve to win Korong, and I deserve your respect. And, and so I think that could work. Again, you could say this about everything and everyone. It could work one way or it could work the other.
So she's either gonna. Her winning strategy was playing low key and being likable. That was her winning game. She's going to want to come in. I think she's going to want to make moves and be more strategic, but that wasn't what her winning game is. So can she win trying to have agency over votes? Or she I mean, I wouldn't blame her if she does the same exact strategy. Yeah.
But it got her what it got her last time. And
when $2 million are on the line, you're going to do whatever the game requires. So speaking of huge threat, I've already talked about how Adam Klein is going to have a huge threat.
And having listened to a lot of other discussions and conversations around this season, Adam Klein has been in everybody's mouth. Everybody's mouth. Because they keep talking about him being a super fan and how is he going to...
So, like, you mean like interviews...
In, like, listening to a lot of the roundtables about other people, everybody seems to be like, how is Adam going to interact with this person? I'm like, why is Adam's the person's name who's in everybody's mouth about everybody else?
Yeah.
Are they scared he's going to be able to work with everybody? Is he scared that he's going to try to work with everybody? What is it about Adam that makes him be in everybody's conversation?
Yeah, so, like, Adam doesn't have, Survivor connections. I'm trying to think of who I've seen him.
But he's got the poker connection.
He's probably been at events
with Tyson, Boston Rob, maybe, maybe Wendell. Because if you look at the people again, you always look at the kind of seasons before, seasons after. As he connected with Michelle or Sarah or Ben, as he connected with Nick Wilson as of the recent,
exactly,
because of the young age group. What does that look like?
I think he will play the little brother role to many of the. He's going to. Prior to last time he played, where he said, "Hey, I'm a fan," but he like played down his super fandom. I think he might consider playing up his super fandom and being like, I'm just the nerd that's out here. Right. Boston Rob, I remember when you did this and you did that, and
kind of try to diminish what
he's going to be the number one fanboy.
He's going to use his fanboy as a shield,
and he's going to inflate the egos of everybody he interacts with to get them on his side. Dang, Adam!
I think that's why he is scary, and that's why people are like, well, what's Adam Klein going to do? Because he knows everything about every single one of these people. And so it's a really interesting to see, all right, what's he going to do?
I've been saying, like, every time I talk about 40, I talk about how Adam is going to be the voice of the superfan out there. We are going to get so many confessionals of Adam talking about, like, I can't believe I just made an alliance with Parvati.
And you gotta look, he's gone through a lot of life. Obviously, his mom passed away days after returning from his win, from his filming this season. And, and that was a big part of his narrative.
He was young when
he was so young. He was 26, 25 or 26, because he's only, 28 now, and he won in the last few years. I think he is the youngest one out there this time around.
Oh, He's the same age as me. This is fun.
Because he and Nick are both 28, 29, and I don't know whose birthday comes first or what, around what, but...
So he's going to be the youngin', even though he's 28. That's not
It's amazing that our youngest player is in their late 20s.
This is going to be great, because we always have, the token young person, but now our token young person is 28.
Yeah.
That's epic. I love it. Okay, let's go to Sarah Lucino. We've talked a lot about her.
We have talked a lot about her.
I can see her being someone who, she has that huge Tony connection, but I don't see her. We talked about Denise, but she
talked
doesn't
about
seem like
possibilities
she doesn't seem like someone who goes out of her way to meet other people. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. We can slide on over to Ben.
Ben Driebergen. Like I said, I think he is very charming. I think he's like one of those. Okay, I'm gonna compare him to myself, which is like very humble brag. But, like, when I meet someone, I, like, genuinely want to get to know them. And I'll ask them questions about, like, where they're from, their job. And, like, I just, like, really love getting to know people. I think Ben is the same way. I think that he is going to get to know these people he's playing with because he just genuinely wants to get to know them.
Right.
So, yeah, he doesn't have connections right now, but...
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know who he knows outside of the game. He might have some sort of connection with Sarah season before and Wendell season after, because again, there's a lot of overlap that comes with filming and finales and things like that. So
he was at Hearts of Reality in 2018.
Okay.
I don't remember if he went to 2019, because I went to 2018. And the people who were also there at Hearts Reality 2018. Sarah Lacina. Wendell Holland. Nick Wilson was secretly there, because
it would have been before his season aired.
Before the season aired. So Nick was there with... I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was there with Davey and Gabby.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so they were like secretly there. So, Ben was there with Nick, Wendell, Sarah, Adam Klein. Like, these are all the newbie winners.
Right.
Who else was there? There's someone else out of the old school players who was there. Sandra was there. So, and Sandra, she's always playing, so she probably connected with him for sure. There was this whole table of all the winners all lined up sitting by each other. It was pretty epic when I got to that table. I got a picture with the queen herself, Sandra. It was wonderful.
All right. Then we've got Wendell, which we've talked about.
Wendell's connected with everybody.
Connected with everybody just because the kind of person that he is. I don't know if, again, you kind of look at the before and after, it is the Ben and Nick kind of overlap of they've probably done a lot of events together. And I guarantee he's talked to Nick quite a bit because of overlap there. So
I bet, Wendell and Nick, do they start on different tribes?
I believe they are on the same tribe.
Yep, they start on the same tribe. They're going to be working together for sure. And then Nick Wilson, fresh off of the beach.
Arguably one of the best seasons of the last, of the 30s. David vs. Goliath was very heavily positively received.
Yeah. And if you think about the light that Nick was edited in, he doesn't come with a huge target.
Not necessarily, because he's arguably not even one of the top 3 characters from that season.
Yeah.
Because, you had your Christian and your Gabby and your Alec Marino.
Your Davey.
Merlino, your Davey. Even Mike White had a very interesting edit.
Yeah.
And your Angelina, obviously. And so it's like, arguably, Nick could hide almost underneath the shield of his own season.
Yep. Wow. Like, his game is going to be fascinating in the midst of all of these legends.
And, so he only had less than a year of time between filming, because he filmed early maybe a little bit over a year, because if he filmed first season in the first cycle and second season in the second cycle, because they usually film back to back, that he had just about a year, and that's not a lot of time, because if you hear people talk about the physical repercussions that they go through after being out there for 39 days, it's not necessarily a lot of time to prepare yourselves. I mean, you talk about the people who went back to back, and Rupert and Malcolm and Amanda and James Russell, people who did these back to back, and just the havoc that it wrecks on their bodies. So it would be interesting to see for him and for I guess a little bit, Wendell and Ben kind of in that same, the recency effect.
Yes. Yeah, I think, and they're the least rusty.
Right. They've played the most recent iteration of the game.
Besides Sandra and Rob, who have been immersed in 39, so they're definitely got their feet wet. So we've talked about the tribal breakdowns of who we see working together.
Is there any other point? Do we want to talk a little bit about? Amber's 40 now. She was very young when she played the first time, even though it was 18 years ago. You think, she's only 40? She's not even the oldest person out there, even though she is
from the oldest seasons.
She's from the earliest season, yeah.
We've got a lot of, people almost 30, in their 30s, and we've got the 40s. And I, just looking at the spreadsheet, I feel like I just see a lot of people in their 40s.
Yeah.
Jeremy Collins is 41.
I don't think I even realized that. Yeah.
Wow. And
actually, Ben is younger than I thought he was.
Ben
He's 36.
is 36.
He reads older to me, probably because he's seen a lot of life. He's an Army vet or whatever, and I think that I would have thought he would have been older, but he's only 36. He's the same age as Parvati, which is bizarre.
Yeah. So that's just really cool to see. The next tab is called Final Tribal Votes, and let's just look at it and see if anything sticks out of... we've got the unanimous winners of Adam Klein,
Jeremy Collins.
I'm sure they are remembered as being unanimous winners, and
not only unanimous winners, but they're unanimous winners with the most votes with the 10-member jury iteration. Because you have unanimous winners. Cochran, I believe, was a 9-0. Earl, I believe, was a 7-0 or a 9-0. I don't remember what Fiji was like, and then. I think, are those the only other 2 unanimous winners? Off the top of my head, I believe they are. And so, 10 votes. 10 people were like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, that just, slightly raises their threat level a bit.
And then one note I had, there's Sarah Lacina and... who else? It was Kim, I believe. Sarah Lacina and Kim Spradlin are the 2 female winners to receive 7 votes. Also Natalie White, but obviously Natalie is not here. But no other woman has won with 7 votes other than Sarah and with Kim. That's the highest amount of votes that a woman has received to win.
A woman has not won unanimously?
No. Only 4 men.
Huh. Man, I'll be so happy if a woman wins season 40. I will be
it's our time.
Ecstatic.
Okay?
So I would love, so we are 1 hour and 40 minutes into this podcast.
Yay.
It's been epic.
Yes.
Let's look at the overall stats tab. We've got the winning season data and we've got the winners left out data. So overall stats, something that just pops out is that the number of first time winners is 70%.
So most 14 out of the 20 people won on their first
time. Yep. So,
4 second time winners, and then you've got Tyson and Rob, who are kind of the outlier.
Who had to win way later.
Right, we had to take their time, marinate a little bit.
And you could argue Tyson's game. I know that Boston Rob's game was very impressive, but Tyson's game in his 3rd time out was extremely impressive as well.
The winning season data is kind of just we've talked a lot about things here and there. We kind of talk about we've talked a little bit about idol plays, and we mentioned that Denise went to every single tribal council in her season, which was 14 tribal council experiences.
Holy crap.
The only other, there are other people in the game who have gone to that, but not any winners who have gone to that many. Sandra went to 12 in the Pearl Islands and 12 in Heroes vs. Villains. Danny went to 12 in Guatemala because obviously she was on a very losing tribe in Guatemala. She played from the bottom a lot. Rob and Sophie. Rob went to tribal council 13 times in Redemption Island, and Sophie went 13 times in South Pacific.
Wow, so they've got a lot under their belt.
There's a lot, and if you look, and you have to look at Boston Rob's been to tribal council a hell of a lot more than just the 13 times he's been. Obviously, this is going to be his 5th time out playing. Yeah. So, and then you look at, people with smaller amounts of tribal council experiences. Yule went to 9, Parvati went to 9, Tyson went to 9, Natalie went to 9. Michelle Fitzgerald went to 5.
Wow.
Because that tribe was so dominant leading up until the tribal council. You also had a lot of evacuations.
She didn't go to tribal until the merge.
She did not go to tribal till the merge. And then even post-merge, you had a couple of evacuations.
Oh my gosh.
Neil went out with his knee.
Yeah.
So that there ended up being no vote at that point in the game. And so, it was... so it could be interesting. How well can she handle herself at a tribal council pre-merge? That could be an interesting dynamic that we see play out.
The next thing that I'm looking at is the individual wins. So it's kind of like, who are going to be the ones that stick out as the challenge threats when it comes to individual? I love how Sandra has 0 for everything. She has not won any individual immunities and no individual rewards. I do know that she practices puzzles a lot. She does slide puzzles all the time.
That's a big...
So I hope that we can see
tribal-
her make it to merge and win one of these.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I was also I scrolled down and I was looking. Boston Rob obviously has his 4 big wins that he had in Redemption Island. But then you've got Sophie and Kim, who both won 3 individuals. And then you had Nick, who won the last 3 individuals, I believe, in David versus Goliath. He went boom, boom, boom. Almost because he had to, but it was like the right time. He peaked at the right moment.
Yes.
Which helped solidify his win for sure.
Then, of course, there's the classic Ben Driebergen has won a ton.
He only won 1 individual.
Wait, didn't he win like the last... Oh, because of idols. Is that what I'm thinking? Okay.
He played a lot of idols.
Yeah.
He found 3 idols. He played 2 of them effectively. One of them, I guess, was ineffectively. I don't remember what note that was about. I think he maybe played one and didn't end up receiving the votes.
Michelle Fitzgerald, she won 2, individual immunities.
I believe she won the last 2 in hers, because she won the final 3 one for sure.
Remember the one where she kicked off the blocks? She kicked down the blocks during one of her wins. It's epic.
Oh, yeah.
I think they showed it slow-mo. She kicked, and then you have here that she has 4 individual reward wins.
She won a lot of reward wins. And sometimes that was counting where it was smaller groups.
Yeah. When they do.
But it was in the individual portion of the game.
Yeah.
I think that season did a lot of group reward wins, like this team versus this team. And then she also won that final reward challenge that gave her an advantage, which she ended up being able to remove Neil from the jury.
May they never bring that back again.
Right.
Oh.
One thing we haven't talked about at all yet in this podcast is
what?
The ominous edge of extinction.
Yeah, I haven't... I know a lot of people have been talking about Edge of Extinction being back and how much we hate it.
Right.
As a game mechanic.
Yes.
I hate it as a game mechanic.
However,
not fair.
However, I think that in a season like this, it can be beneficial.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily because I think somebody from the Edge of Extinction can or should win, but if you're going to bring back these 20 people, I want to see these 20 people for 39 days, and I don't see any one of these 20 people raising the flag at Edge of Extinction. So that means I'm going to get entertainment value and getting to know these people again that I've wanted to see on my screen again for so long. I get to see them again for the full season.
Will say, yes, yay, I get to see them for longer.
Right.
I get to see them on my TV longer. But... remember the, footage we got of Edge of Extinction that was, depressing a lot?
Yeah.
That's the footage, I did appreciate, seeing Kelly Wentworth, just talk about vulnerability in her life and stuff.
For sure.
I hope that the content we get from the Edge will be, Ream content.
Right.
I hope it'll be...
I think...
good drama, good comedy, seeing our the people we love just doing some...
For sure. And I think that them, giving it a trial run in 39, or whatever you want to call that, was good. Because I think that they could see what works and what doesn't work. And I really hope that they take the feedback from the fans and from everybody who was watching and critical to it, and they can tweak it. I have heard that Jeff has told, and that they were told that the Edge of Extinction was going to be a mechanic before the game started. Okay. But I also heard that they were only told, you will get at least 1 chance to get back in the game. I don't think that they necessarily said that, Edge of Extinction is going to happen, you're going to get your 2 entry points. Yeah. I think that to do it the right way would be you have the 1 re-entry at the merge and then you're done with it. Yes. Which, as long as they don't come back at 5... that's okay too. I think if you did it at 7, it's different, where they have more tribal councils to get through, more time to... don't give them an idol coming back into the game.
Don't let them hang out with the whole jury
for 39 days. 35 days. He came back on day 35, I believe. Yeah. So he had 4 days or whatever. And so, I think
if this is the last time we see Edge of Extinction, I will be happy.
Right. And so I hope that this mechanic can work. And I honestly think it was the only reason that they were able to get back some of these players, is to be even if you get voted out, you're going to have another opportunity to get into the game. I think that they used it as a bargaining tool to get some of these people to come back and play.
Yeah. I thought that the $2 million grand prize was also going to be a bargaining tool. But
I mean, that's just.
But when they showed the clip of them saying the prize is $2 million,
they didn't know at that point.
They all screamed.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. So they came out there thinking, I mean, $1 million is amazing. Is still,
but
they did that during. Remember, they did that during All Stars too. They like upped the ante, but they didn't tell them till they were out there. I think.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh man, it's been a while. So
yeah.
So yeah, a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah.
I hope that like Reem is actually still on Edge of Extinction and she gets to greet
That
everybody
would be
who shows
amazing,
up.
yes.
I would love that immensely.
Right.
Let's jump to the is there any like you have some amazing notes?
Yeah, some of the notes is, you know,
it's like really fun
Ethan
notes.
Zahn never received a vote against him.
Yeah.
He was the first winner to receive more than 4 votes because every previous winner had been a 4-3 to vote. Amber and Ethan hold the record of length between seasons, which is 16 years and 32 seasons between last appearance, which previously was held by Wigglesworth, who went from Borneo to Cambodia.
Yeah.
He apparently dated Amber.
Oh my gosh.
Which I forgot to mention that earlier because I didn't realize I had it in my notes here, but not anywhere else. He apparently dated Amber and Jenna, obviously, which we did talk about that one.
There's some history. That's fun.
Yeah. Sandra also never received a vote against her in Pearl Islands. She's the first winner to have won 0 challenges, individual challenges. Sandra is one of 4 survivors to have played 3 times and only be voted out once. The other being Parvati, Amanda and Russell, which Amanda obviously sat at the end with Parvati and Russell sat at the end with Parvati and Sandra. So it's kind of like this like bubble of people.
Wow.
Sandra was the last winner standing in Game Changers. I'm just kind of like skimming through my notes. Obviously y'all can read this yourselves and stuff, but
the one thing that I really do like about these notes is you put, you know, the different advantages that they might have been the first one to use. Like we see the legacy advantage under Sarah Lacina's, like she was able to manipulate that situation.
Oh my goodness, she manipulated the vote out of Sierra Dawn Thomas Anglam.
So many names.
It says a lot about her social game and the fact that she had a relationship with Sierra, that Sierra confided in her, if I get voted out for whatever reason, I'm going to leave this to you. And then Sarah orchestrates her vote out and gets the legacy advantage.
So that makes me think, so you have written, like, you know, how Michelle Fitzgerald was the first person to remove a juror. Like, if you think about these winners, most of these winners have won advantages, have won idols. Like, they, not only are you playing the strategy of Survivor,
right,
the normal vote out people game of Survivor, but these people have played with advantages and have thought through scenarios, and we're going to just see a whole new level of gameplay.
Right.
So, is there anything else from the notes that you want to mention before we jump to the people who did not make season 40?
I have a note here. Kim was the first female to possess a hidden immunity idol and make it to day 39 without having to use it.
That girl, she
and
was something.
She was the first winner to find a hidden immunity idol without a clue.
Really?
Then Denise is the oldest woman to have ever won the game, and is the second oldest winner overall, just second to Bob Crowley, and will again be the oldest player out on this season. You know, you've got the infamous Tyson getting himself voted out of Heroes vs. Villain by changing his vote to Parvati. He was the first male castaway to be voted out as a result of a successful hidden immunity idol usage. First male.
Wow.
Idled out. There have been and Natalie Anderson, first set of twins to play the game, obviously. I mean, we've never seen that otherwise. Also, Danny was originally invited out for Heroes vs. Villains, but then she decided against it and said, I'm only going to return if it's an all-winner season.
No.
I saw that.
Did you saw that in the wiki? Or
I believe it was in the wiki, yeah.
I got to find the source
from an interview that she had.
I love your note on Tony Vlachos. You just have Spy Shacks.
Yeah, I mean, he's you gotta,
is he bringing back the Spy Shack the spy bunker. Do you think he's going to do something?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, man. The one thing that we didn't get to see play out on his return game, which he talked about in the preseason interviews, but, like, I hope he'll still do this, is he was talking about, like, how he called them, like, clone rocks. Do you remember this at all? So he was going to have, like, a couple shells or rocks that he would tell people symbolizes his family. And that he would carry them around or something and, like, really play up, like, I'm holding on to this rock because this is my wife. This rock is my wife and this represents her. And then in order to, like, seal an alliance or, like, or to use his word at a vote, he would give them the rock and be like, I am with you. I'm giving you my, like, this is my wife.
Gosh.
But then he would actually have several rocks and he would use that with everybody.
Oh my gosh.
I might have the strategy wrong, but I still remember
That's
that
hilarious.
being like, that is genius and so funny. And maybe I'll do that one day when I play. But I don't know, like, what it would represent. Like, this rock is my mom.
Wow. Yes.
This is my mom rock. Okay.
Yeah. I had Michelle Fitzgerald holds a tie for the most days surviving without going to a tribal council. She holds that tie with Chris Noble from Ghost Island and with Nick Majorano, who was in the season with her. But then Nick Majorano was immediately voted out.
Yeah. Chris Noble.
Also immediately voted out, yes. And then winners who have drawn rocks.
Yeah.
Adam and Tyson.
Adam and Tyson
both had to draw rocks.
And Tyson had a
lower amount of people.
Yeah.
So it was a higher chance of him getting the rock.
We love a ballsy
and
winner.
obviously that's when Katie went out and when Jessica Lewis went out. And Adam Driebergen played the most imperfect game. He received 11 votes against him, lost 3 jury votes, and so totaled up to 14 votes lost. Just
Ben.
Yeah.
Ben.
And then obviously, you know, Wendell Holland winning the first final tribal tiebreaker with the both final 4 fire and final tribal tie. So it's like, not only did he win the first fire making, not the first fire making, but he won fire making and then went into and got a tie and had to break that tie. So because I always kind of look as the fire making as a tie, and so I was like, he had to fight for his win both times. And you know, he solidified his relationship with Laurel by playing an idol on her, even though he didn't need to.
Yeah,
she was not going to get voted out, but the fact that he did it was like a token
even further.
It solidified his win. That's kind of all the
extra notes.
There's other. Nick is the first winner to win the final immunity challenge, not compete in the fire making, but to go on to win the season.
Because he won
the final. Because Wendell had done fire and Ben had done fire. And
then finally we just had Tommy break the mold of being taken to the end.
Right. Winning. Yeah, we did just have Tommy, which we haven't talked a lot about, but okay.
I could see that happening in season 40. I could see someone getting taken and winning.
Yeah.
I could.
So now that we've kind of broken down all of our season 40 stuff, who's your winner pick?
My winner pick.
You've already told me who you think.
Yeah, I've already told you who I think is... Okay, who I want to win and who I think will win is different. I want Natalie Anderson to win. Looking at the preseason of Ghost Island.
Okay.
When I was picking my winner for Ghost Island, Wendell Holland just screamed winner. But I thought to myself, there's no way he can win. Like, he's so obviously, like, a threat.
Yeah.
There's no way he could win. So I didn't make him my winner pick. I made Kellen my winner pick. Which ended up, she was a huge threat by the end. So she got voted out. So now as I look at this cast, I think Wendell wins. Okay. And I'm not going to deny him my winner pick.
Okay.
I think Wendell is going to charm the socks off of these people.
Okay.
And I think he's going to keep his threat level down. He's going to win the final challenges, and he's going to win.
I will also say I want Natalie Anderson to win.
Yes. Who's your winner pick, though? Who do you think is going to take it all? This is insane, just thinking about how the dynamics are going to turn out.
I don't know if I have any, like, solid, good feeling in my gut. Speaking
of Kellen and gut,
but I'm going to say maybe Jeremy Collins.
Jeremy Collins. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah. I could see Jeremy Collins, after having had this conversation and talking about how good of kind of a position he is with the people in his tribe, I see him being well liked in his starting tribe. He's got his number one gal in his starting tribe. I feel good about it. I think that I would be pretty satisfied with just about anybody winning until I see how it starts to play out.
Even Ben?
Except for maybe Ben.
Well, I feel like if he makes it to the end...
Or Michelle.
You know, I'm not a big Michelle fan, but I'm ready to see her play.
Herself,
I think she'll anybody who makes it to the end, like,
I would be
without just coasting.
Yeah, I would also be happy with a Yule win.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
Of
and
course.
I just don't know how well he can do with his lack of connection, but I'm hoping he does something magical.
Yes. Boom.
Boom.
So we've got our winner picks.
All right.
Let's just look at the list of the winners that are not here. I guess my question...
The obviously glaring Richard Hatch.
Yeah, let's talk about who surprised you they weren't there, and maybe who you wish was there.
The person who most surprises me that's not there is John Cochran.
Yeah.
Because Jeff freaking loves John Cochran. Listen, he had such an entertaining win. Feel however you will about Caramoan, but it was a very interesting...
Jeff loved the character arc of Cochran.
Absolutely. He was a completely different person in Caramoan. 100%. Because my mom and I watched South Pacific and Caramoan in a pretty close period of time. And she was like, how much time passed in between these two seasons? And I was like, about 2 years, give or take. And because it was, South Pacific was 21 or 22, and then Caramoan, I believe, is 25. So that's a big 2 year-ish. And she was like, he's a completely different person. So it really surprises me. Also considering how often he appears in finales. He was there at Game Changers as a magical appearance.
Yeah.
And just how well liked he is. But I have heard, this is a speculation, I don't know if there's any accuracy behind this, but he turned it down because he didn't want to lose.
Wow.
I don't know how much truth there is behind that. That is just a whisper on the street. Is that, I mean, I do think that he turned it down, whatever the reason is behind it. He also has a very successful career. He's writing for television. He works for CBS.
I told you the other day that, he was probably super embarrassed. His first season was the nerdy guy. The second season was so good for him that it's like, what's going to happen this third season out?
Yes.
And like you said, he doesn't want to lose, but also I think part of it doesn't want to be embarrassed by anything.
Right.
And he the thing with Survivor is you get what you need out of it. He doesn't need anything else.
Right.
He doesn't need $2 million.
Yeah. And then to balance who I wish would be out there, I would have preferred Mike over Ben. Mike Holloway.
Same. That's exactly.
Because I think that there is a fair comparison between Worlds Apart and Heroes vs. Hustlers versus the Idols Played, Challenge Wins,
their personality
archetypes.
Yeah.
I think that Mike Holloway is a more likable character. I think that Ben is wonderful. I'm sure you've met him in person. You can attest to that. However, I am also from Texas, and so Mike Holloway.
Oh, I wanted Mike out there so bad.
Mike Holloway is the good old boy. He's the Texas boy.
His raspy voice.
I know, and I just he was entertaining, and I found him more entertaining than Ben, and so that's kind of my comparison.
Yeah.
What about you?
The survival challenge player in me would love Bob Crowley out there.
Bob.
That would be such a stretch for him to make it out there.
He's in his 60s now.
But I would love to see that him play again. The Ohio girl in me wanted Chris Dowdery back out there. I loved Vanuatu. I loved his game.
I need to rewatch it.
I thought it was funny. So I was able to rewatch it a couple years ago.
Bob Crowley is 68 years old.
Yeah, that's not happening.
But no, I agree about the Vanuatu.
Yeah.
Amy Cusack made an appearance on a podcast recently that I listened to, and it was fascinating. And I was like, man, I don't remember anything about Vanuatu. I need to go back and watch it, I think.
So he would have been really fun to see come back. So that was the other one. And, a ton of people have talked about the Richard Hatch thing. We've talked about it, but it really is sad to not have him on this season.
I do, and I agree that whether what happened or what happened didn't happen, because there is conflicting. Richard Hatch swears that Sue made it all up and all this.
Right.
And we're not going to speculate on
No.
that. But regardless of it, it's the perception that matters. And after everything that happened in 39, they just couldn't.
And like unpopular opinion is I'm fine with him not being out there.
Yeah, me
really?
too.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. Like,
Listen, he also went to jail for tax evasion, and so like
you're
why?
already,
you've obviously had your issues.
Yeah.
And
I love his cockiness. Like that's
Yeah.
always gonna be fun to watch on
Absolutely.
TV. But
and then we got, you also had your OG Tina, which I
I
believe
know.
also Tina was in the mix with Hatch, and they were the two that were at the end decided against. I think a bit of it is that she is a bit older. She's in her late 50s now, I believe. She was 41 when she won.
we've seen her play 3 times.
We've seen her play 3 times, and obviously she can't. I don't think that she hangs out. She can hang in Modern Survivor. She plays a very social game, and granted, a social game is good, is strong. Tommy played a social game, but I also don't think that she.
But
can
yeah, you look
necessarily
at Denise, who's the
navigate.
oldest woman that's going to be playing, and she's an ox of a woman, or whatever you said. She's an ox.
And
so
Tina's a little bit tiny, and
Yeah.
she's not. She's obviously small, but not small in the way that Denise is small and solid.
yeah,
Vesepia apparently did not get a call. I have a feeling it has to do with the compellingness of her season. Again, she's a little bit older now. Marquesas is not a well-received season, other than like your Boston Rob and your Kathy Vavrick.
Oh, yeah.
Who I love, Kathy.
Yeah. It's so hard to create this season of 20, and you have all
But
these.
here's
epic
my
players.
thing. Why did it have to be 20? If you're going to come back for season 40, why not bring back as many as you can?
Why not do the Survivor Australia 24 contestants?
Just
So-
do a bunch more double.
Yeah.
Make your tribes both of them go to tribal council and
Yeah.
things like that. But
and then I think the other one of note would be Todd Herzog. I think a lot of people wanted him back.
I wanted
so,
Todd back too. Yeah, he was also kind of high up there for me because I love China. I think China's super underrated. I think it's
Yeah.
really interesting, mostly because of the location. The location was difficult, but you had James, going home with two idols in his pocket.
What?
And you had the beginning of Amanda Kimmel and like the Courtney Yates, who
Oh, what a great
did not want to be there, did not expect to still be there at the end, was recruited,
So speaking of the James and two idols, the next thing coming up is the Survivor recap of 40 seasons on February 5th.
This is true.
So I read an article about it, and I tweeted, I was like, I am not looking forward to any of these moments they're going to relive, like Sari getting voted out,
Idol
Eric
out.
giving away his immunity. So I hope it's going to be, but what I did see is that we're going to get a lot of interviews from these winners.
I hope so.
Or maybe from some of the legends.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that in a few weeks.
It's already 2.5 weeks out for
Dang.
that. But just to briefly touch on, we don't have Brian Heidick, Jenna Maraska, Chris Doherty, Tom Westman, who apparently is in really bad health, as he was a first responder in 9/11.
Yeah.
And so he's had a lot of time, and I personally have family members who were a family friend who is a first responder who has recently passed from cancerous effects from that time period. So I can only imagine that his health is just not well enough. And he was a little bit older when he won. He was in his 40s already. Yeah. RS, which again, we've already seen RS come back and his season obviously was not, Tara Deach should have won the game, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And then, Todd, Bob, JT, which we've seen JT come back twice, and we've seen enough. We have seen enough. Natalie White, again, less compelling. Fabio, Judd, Bertza, less compelling. Arguably one of the most train wrecks of the season in Nicaragua.
And no one wanted to see Chris Underwood come
And then
back.
obviously Chris Underwood wouldn't come back because they had just finished filming and
it
didn't
would
even
spoil
know.
it.
Yeah, it would spoil. So, yeah.
Wow, that was like...
It's a wild... to look at to look at who's not there, and it's just wild.
Yeah. So that's the end of this almighty spreadsheet. We just went through the tabs. We went through all of it. Check it out for yourself.
Feel free to harass me about any corrections I need to make. But also join the conversation and
Yeah, we'll get a Reddit thread going. How about that? So, Katelyn, do you want to drop your a handle or anything? If anybody wants to
Sure,
follow you you're on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Both are open to whoever wants to follow me.
Is it the same handle?
Yes, at Let's Go Fly a Kate.
Which is like one of the best handles ever.
Because like I mentioned, I'm a flight attendant, so I fly a lot. It's just kind of a play on that. Like,
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You're a flight and Mary Poppins.
yeah.
And as my mom liked to call you Snowflake Kate, because when she sees
yeah.
your handle, she thinks it says Snowflake,
Yes.
so she calls you Snowflake Kate.
I don't tweet a lot, and most of my Instagram is like my nieces and nephews acting crazy, but
And wedding planning.
and wedding planning and stuff like that. But feel free to follow me. Sometimes during the season, I do end up getting on Twitter or Instagram stories and
Yeah.
talking about stuff, and just maybe one day I'll be on the show myself, and you'll be like, oh, I already know her.
Oh, it's Snowflake
So
Kate.
it's fine.
Look
Yeah.
at that. And you can find me at Hannah Gilia, Gilia. And, if Drop Your Buffs is still happening over season 40, you can follow us at Drop Your Buffs podcast on the handles, on the socials. So find us there. I don't know the next time you'll hear from us, but Katelyn, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This
Yes.
was a delight.
This was so fun. We would have been actually doing this if there was not a microphone and a recording going on.
We've talked about a lot of this stuff already, but
Yeah.
we needed to save some of it for the audience.
Yes, if you are out there listening and you don't have a Survivor nerd friend in your area, go find one. Just do whatever you can. Post an
Yes.
ad on Craigslist. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Maybe don't. But
Yeah, but
you'll find them.
Thanks for listening. And besides this wonderful spreadsheet, I've got nothing for you.
Oh.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody, drop your buffs. Drop your buffs. Everybody, drop your buffs.
Drop your buffs.
Everybody, drop your buffs.